Hi, everyone. This is Going for All Seasons. I'm Dan.
I'm Ben.
And today we're doing a hybrid episode with Vernon X, Odemns, filmmaker and host of Overanalyze This, or OAT, a podcast about Vernon. How would you describe the podcast?
Well, first I want to say thanks for having me on this podcast, guys. Glad to be here.
Welcome, welcome. We're synergizing, I think. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
it feels like it. I can feel it. We're all in 3 different time zones. I can feel the synergy coming through my Zoom screen for sure.
Oh yeah.
How would I describe and overanalyze this? Well, it started with two friends and myself, just thinking about films we used to watch in the past that we hadn't, or like when we were kids anyway, that we haven't seen in a while, and like the influence they may have had on us. So we decided to then, now as adults, revisit films that we'd seen in the space between being like a child and like right before graduating high school, and like watch them for the first time as adults, and then just overanalyze them. Well, what I mean by that is sometimes we watch a 90-minute film, but our podcast episodes are like 2 hours long, so it's like a true overanalyzation. And it's interesting because there's been certain films that I've watched and I've been able to see exactly how that has influenced like my own craft and my personality in some ways. And it's kind of like a revisiting time capsules over and over again.
Absolutely. And Vernon, can you tell our audience some of the films that you guys have analyzed?
Yeah, greatest hits for you so far. Like, what's your favorites?
Yeah, I'm laughing because of the time frame we restrict ourselves to, some of these films aren't great. We also intentionally try not to watch films that are universally loved and like kind of stick to sometimes questionable quality, I guess. To give you an example of what I mean, the very first episode is of the movie Identity, starring John Cusack and some other people whose names I don't remember right now. As far as greatest hits go, our most popular episode is actually Legally Blonde, which I think bends our rules a bit because it is kind of loved by most people. That episode's a lot of fun. Another one that bends the rules is Gremlins, and that one's I would recommend that as like a solid starting place. And if you don't want to go with Gremlins, maybe you check out Disney's Brink, the classic original. That episode is like, honestly, I watched Brink. I did not think I was going to give that a 4 out of 5 stars, but that movie slaps. That movie goes hard. It's great. It's a great movie.
That was the first one, because I was following you guys on Instagram, and that was the first episode I listened to, was the Brink one, because I remember like loving the Disney like extreme sports genre.
I've seen almost all of the Disney original movies starting from whenever they started up to 2007. I think I know I stopped at High School Musical because I'm not into musicals, and I just never went back.
Yeah, I never saw that, but yeah, I really love the like Johnny Tsunami, Brink, of course, Motocrossed. I would recommend if you could do Motocross. Truly a Shakespearean cross-dressing experience.
Smart House.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Smart
yeah.
I think we're going to do Johnny Tsunami at some point.
Oh, you got to do Johnny Tsunami. It's good. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's something I like about the podcast is like, it's not like what's the one where it's like, how did this get made? It's not that sort of thing. I like that you guys kind of you, even when you're watching a really bad movie, or it's a movie you don't like, or it's objectively a terrible movie, you come at it more from a place of love rather than a place of just mocking.
I mean, I think that depends on what mood like we're all in,
Yeah.
Because we recently watched Mortal Kombat, and I had a hard time watching that movie and was not happy about it. But I think what you're picking up on maybe is that like it is at the end of the day still like a love for the craft itself, like the medium, the art form itself, and I think that's where it ends up being fun. We actually just recorded an episode a few days ago that I loved and our guests loved, and both of my co-hosts like hate it, and I was like honestly heartbroken about it because it was my pick. I guess I could just tell you it was Deep Blue Sea. Have y'all seen Deep Blue Sea?
Oh, of course, yeah.
A long time ago, yeah.
How do y'all feel about Deep Blue Sea?
What Deep Blue Sea is, let me get this right. It's like
sharks.
For some reason they made super smart sharks.
Yes, yeah, they did that.
And then the sharks like systematically like break down the aquatic. I mean, it's like classic like 90s disaster, kind of 90s early 2000s disaster. I remember loving that.
Honestly, watch it as an adult, you may like it more, because I loved it as a kid. And I watched it as an adult, and I was like, I gave it 4.5 stars on Letterboxd.
Yeah. Well, it's peak Sam Jackson too.
Oh my god, it is. It's a great film. It's like I love watching movies where like 'cause I don't know. I feel that like we all have the potential to be like pretty pretentious film people, but it's nice to take that side of your brain and like do it for something like Speed, starring Keanu Reeves. You know,
Yeah.
it's just a fun mashup there.
And
Vernon,
I'm very unapologetically like lowbrow with the films I watch. Like,
Yeah,
so I'm all about that. I'm a cheap date when it comes to when it comes to high art in cinema.
that's healthy. You got to maintain some of that.
Yeah,
Vernon,
yeah.
Vernon, I want to ask you about something from your replacements episode,
Oh
and
boy.
actually a few points I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, no,
We got some.
I've just been laughing about this the story that was told in the replacements episode, and I really want you to retell it if possible. And that's when you were speaking to these cool kids, and
Oh.
the one kid interjected. If
Oh,
you just give the background and then what happened.
yeah, so a friend of mine asked me this whenever I think about this, I like forget it, so when I think about it, I just laugh all over again because it's like the first time it's happening again.
Yeah.
A friend of mine asked me to be a part of a panel for a high school. It was through Lightbringer, a program in here for kids wanting to like get into the arts here in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And they asked me to be a part of like a filmmaking panel to just talk about the industry from the inside. And so that's what I was there for. And at one point, when one of the panelists was talking, this voice just like comes from the ether because we couldn't see this person because their screen was off, and the voice just goes, "Yo, who the fuck are these people?" and, and like that's the type of shit that would like have made me laugh as a kid, like in class. I have this really like crass story to tell you, but there was this one day where like my teacher, I think my Spanish teacher was like yelling at everyone because we were being a bad class, and the class was silent afterwards. And my friend Josh, just in the back of the classroom, warning, I did tell you this is crass, just goes, "My dick big." And everyone laughed so fucking hard, including the teacher. Including the teacher laughed, and we like all laughed together for like a minute. And I think there's something to just like infusing lowbrow humor at the perfect time, and that's what both of those moments were for me. I fucking loved it. I think about it often, actually.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
we don't pay our teachers enough. That is
Shout out, Miss Pierpoint.
yeah. I did after the replacements episode. I've been wanting to rewatch the replacements because as a kid I loved that movie.
Mhm.
And listening to the podcast, I really wanted to rewatch the wild yam scene because for some reason I
Oh yes,
remember it.
I Gabe loved that. Gabe, my co-host from Oat, loved that scene, and I like it didn't hit me, and I'm like, what I do? I don't know why, but I'm like, what happened in that yam scene? He just like gets yam juice rubbed on his arm or something.
Yeah, I don't even remember at this point. Like it was so forgettable for me, and I think I've seen that movie maybe like 10 times. It was always on Comedy Central. Yeah.
I should also note that a big part of the podcast is oftentimes it's usually all three of us have not seen the movie we're watching. A lot of that has to do with the fact that like Gabe and I are millennials and CJ is a Gen Zer. And also we don't all have the same taste. So I had never actually seen Replacements before, so that was new to me. And Gabe and well, actually CJ had never seen Deep Blue Sea. We just did that episode. So like you're also introducing your friends to these movies for the first time at an age oftentimes when like they're too old to enjoy them, but sometimes we fucking love them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And Vernon, since this is a hybrid episode, we want to bring in some elements from Oat and apply them to this episode. So, can you just tell us like how you rate some of these films?
How we rate them?
Or yeah, like I guess how you analyze them might be a better way to phrase that.
Yeah, so we have categories. As far as the ratings go, we love Letterbox. We want to be sponsored by them, but it hasn't happened yet. They give 5-star ratings and like one or a half star up to 5 stars, so you can do half ratings. For our categories, we do like a loose synopsis for like a minute or two. Then we jump into like a favorite scene, favorite stretch. I've been trying to make favorite stretch less nebulous, but it's just sometimes it's like, oh, I love this one scene, or I love this 10 minutes, and other times, like often I think Gabe does this where he'll his favorite stretch is like the first hour of the movie, and I'm like, that's a really long stretch. And then we have which characters are we, in which we find characters in the film, and we designate, or not really designate, but like try and draw parallels between the character's personality and like who we know our friends to be. And sometimes that goes over really well, and other times people end up being a little upset. But it's it's all fun, and we all love each other. Then we do what doesn't work, which is that usually goes on. We try to give it like 10 minutes, but it usually goes on for like 20. We have a hold the fuck up moment, which is a moment in which anyone on the episode can hijack the conversation to talk about whatever they want. So it doesn't happen every episode, but listen to the Deep Blue Sea episode. You're really gonna like what happens with that one. Then we have our lightning round, which is not a lightning round because it's usually about 30 minutes. We have factoids, letterbox, star rating reviews, in which we find reviews written on letterbox that are related to the movie we're watching. And oftentimes the reviews will be on par with, say, if it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it'll be like, these turtles look weird, and then we'll have to guess what the rating is, and it'll be like 5 stars. That's like a really simplified, completely fake version of what that is, but it's like basically the reviews oftentimes do not give you any idea what the star rating will be, and it'll be like, I hate these fucking turtles, I'd never hang out with them, and then it's 5 stars, and you're like, what? How does that work out? Then we have fuck, marry, kill, in which we fuck, marry, or kill aspects of the film. Sometimes this rule gets broken by someone designating it to people, but we try to keep it away from people and do aspects of the film. And then our last category is how white is this film? I also want to shout out my beloved category that got killed, which was reimaginings. My co-host did not like reimaginings. I don't know why, but I fucking loved it. But I'll fight to get it back on.
Wait, so what is reimaginings?
It was just like you take the elements of, like, you watch the film and then you just change it to whatever you would want it to be. You know, like give me a film, and I'll do a reimagining for you. But it has to be something I've seen.
Okay. Well, I saw you at a Letterboxd review of a film I watched the other night. I Care a Lot.
Oh no, not Sicario. I meant Serpico. I Care. Oof, man.
That's
I would love to designate some time to talk about that movie.
Yeah, well, I think we absolutely can, because I would like to talk about this movie as well. But
okay, so my reimagining would be that 3 friends recording a podcast via Zoom talk about the movie I Care a Lot, and they realize that they all share this passion of like deep disdain for this movie, and they decide like we have to make sure that this movie was never created. And so they go and they like, so Ben is out in the UK, so we fly out there because Ben's like, oh, I know a guy. He's like really into like quantum physics, and we're like, cool, great, maybe he'll be able to send us back in time. And so we go back, we find this guy. He's able to like send us back in time he's able to like not only send us back in time, but like pinpoint all of the moments that function as a story beat to this writer director's brain. And so we have to go back in time to all these points and make sure that he never interacts with these story beats or with these like pivotal moments in his life that bring him to these story beats. And like that's like our whole journey. It's like kind of like a heist film. Where we like all go to different not really timelines, but different timelines, and we just like stop shit from happening.
So it's sort of Back to the Future meets Ocean's 11
meets Endgame, But I want to say that this ends up backfiring because he ends up making the movie anyway, but like not better, but like more popular. So we still hate it, and it like spawns like a 5-film trilogy. And the reason I say a 5-film trilogy is because I recently saw that Zack Snyder, a director that I have hated for 10 years, said that he originally planned for Justice League to be a 5-film trilogy. To which I say, what is a trilogy? Is it 5 things or is it 15 things?
Oh God.
What is a five? What is that? What is a
I
5-part?
didn't even think about that. Is that 15 is way too many.
What is a 5-part trilogy, Zack Snyder? We need to know.
Uh,
It's true.
we should dedicate an episode to Zack Snyder because he is my least favorite filmmaker ever.
Dude, Sucker Punch ruined my fucking life. I'm still recovering, and that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, everybody's so excited about this. I didn't see the Justice League movie in the first. I haven't really watched any of the
Wow.
DC stuff, so I didn't
Wow,
see
you're
the
just
original.
bragging.
Yeah, I'm a happy. I'm a happier person. But I will say I did see the newest Wonder Woman. So
Are you okay?
no, I'm really bad. Really bad because of it. But everyone's talking about this. They're like, oh, the Snyder cut, the Snyder cut. And it's like, first of all,
It's
I don't think I've ever been excited to see anything that's 4 hours long. I don't think there's anything in my life where like you could like whatever director, whatever the content is,
Right.
it'd be like it's 4 hours. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I feel the same. I mean, maybe Deer Hunter is 4 hours, but like you're not supposed to be excited about it. You know, it's like it is a. I feel like if you're gonna have a long film, part of that experience needs to be emotionally just like dragging your audience through it. Like I feel like it kind of should be a painful process,
Yeah.
because I don't know what film I would love so much that I would want to sit down and watch it for 4 straight hours. You know, like if you're gonna go long form like that, make it a fucking journey that is insufferable, but it also like it's oddly rewarding in a way.
Yeah, it's an ordeal that you
Yeah, an ordeal,
that
an
you
odyssey, a
survive.
quest. You know.
Yeah.
I kind of like
Exactly.
Irishman, but I don't think that it really fulfills like the
Yeah.
time. You know, it was a good movie, I guess, but like it didn't need to be that long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like it's Irishman is like 20 hours long, and for your review to be it was a good movie, I guess. Not
Yeah.
good. Not good. Not good.
Um.
It's fine. It's fine.
So I want to get back to movies later. I especially want to like kind of
yeah.
do some like contemporary analysis as well. But I kind of want to kick this off with some news about the week and like how we again can apply these out categories to politics and culture and everything.
Synergy. Podcast synergy.
I do have to make the lame joke that we instead of overanalyze this, we're going to be overanalyze that. That's the name of the episode this time.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Lame
I
joke.
love that. That's not lame. That's perfect.
This happened at the very beginning of this week. I think actually it was about last Sunday, if I'm going to be correct. But Ben, who is trying to understand the UK, Sarah Everhard, if you can give us the background about that.
2 weeks ago was a hard week for women in the UK. And I think like a lot of it got drowned out overseas by the Meghan Markle stuff. But in that same week, they were. I'm just giving a bunch of details so we can deal with me meandering. But so the Meghan Markle thing was like really the marquee story that you guys were probably hearing about. There was also an issue with nurses' pay for NHS nurses were given a 1% pay rise after all of their work. Yeah, so it amounted to, on average, about £3.50 extra a week. It's worth mentioning that about 89% of nurses in the UK are women, so it's very much a women's issue. And then there was a young woman, Sarah Everard, I believe she was 33 years old, was walking home in Clapham Common, which is southwest London, not too far away from where I live, actually. She was walking home at about 9:30 p.m. and went missing. And her remains were found a day or two later. I can't remember exactly where, but and the man charged with it is a London police officer. So a little bit later in the week, so this would be last Friday, there was a candlelight vigil near where she went missing. And I think that this is important to emphasize. It was a candlelight vigil. It was not a protest of a lot of women getting together to mourn the situation and mourn her loss and kind of, take back the streets. And it was very violently broken up by police officers. Yeah. So there was a lot of footage of cops just like throwing women to the ground, violently shoving them, and it was a really disproportionate reaction to that. And this was also it proved very prescient because a few days later, a new policing and sentencing bill was passed in the House of Commons that I think it might have to go through another vote, but I'm not sure. But this new policing bill, amongst a lot of, it's a very draconian, very yeah, it's just very draconian and very harsh measures across the board. So I took down some notes for it. So there's a few things, like a lot of things happening to sentencing. So it's imposing minimum sentences for certain repeat offenses, quote unquote. Provides a quote new starting points for murder committed by children based on an adult system. So basically opening up measures to charge children as adults. Generally longer sentences for anything harder parole measures. Now parole boards are no longer able to direct immediate release, and the Secretary of State would, quote, instead be required to give effect to the directions. So basically taking away power from parole boards in favor of the Secretary of State. And so it's basically opening up in the sentencing and parole hearings a lot of ways to politicize different politicize different crimes and different people. So the main thing that's been getting the most press, and as connected to this candlelight vigil that was broken up, is new measures against protesting. So I just wanted to read. This is from the UK Home, or yeah, the Parliament website that's giving an overview of this. So it says, quote, amends police powers in the Public Order Act of 1986, so police can impose conditions on protests that are noisy enough to cause, quote, intimidation or harassment, or, quote, serious unease, alarm, or distress to bystanders, including protests consisting of one person. It also abolishes the common law offense of public nuisance and replaces it with the statutory offense of, quote, intentionally or recklessly causing public nuisance, amends provisions in the Police Reform and Social Responsibility Act of 2011 to expand the, quote, controlled area around Parliament where certain protest activities are prohibited. It would also add obstructing access to the parliamentary estate to the activities prohibited in a, quote, controlled area. It would create a new offense of residing on land without consent in or with a vehicle, amends the existing police powers associated with amends the existing police powers associated with unauthorized encampments to lower the threshold at which they can be used. Basically, the crux of this with cracking down on protests is they're going by this very nebulous and very vague definition of anything that could be thought to be too noisy or a nuisance or disrupting public life or is sort of offensive to people's delicate sensibilities can now be treated as a crime. And it's, I mean, basically, you know, anybody who knows what the definition of protesting is, it's what I just stated. Protests are supposed to be noisy. Protests are supposed to be disruptive. They're supposed to be uncomfortable. That's the only way they work. And so a lot of this bill was starting to get penned. I believe people started to put this forward last year in the wake of the Black Lives Matter protests, which were also happening in London, as well as, of course, in the U.S. Of this idea that, yeah, this idea that if it's making people uncomfortable, then we need to get rid of it. So that's one problem of it. But the thing I wanted to talk to you guys about too, which was interesting to me about the candlelight vigil, aside from it being on its face really disturbing, was that there were big protests happening over here last year in the wake of George Floyd that were never met with this kind of attacks by the police. And it really, it showed something to me that I hadn't really thought of, because like these issues are just kind of more quiet and subdued over here in England and like a lot of parts of Europe. They're not as in your face as I think they are in the US, especially with like issues in race. But the thing that, like, a light bulb went on in my head when I saw this crackdown, it was like, well, why didn't you do this last year? And it was like, because they were protesting cops in America. But the second it became about the action of cops in the UK, then you see this violent crackdown. And I think it's like the same thing that happened with the BLM protests in America. It's like, because they're fucking protesting cops, and if you go after cops, you're gonna get met with that kind of resistance.
I think it kind of goes along with. I think there were some anti-protest bills. I mean, I know we mentioned the anti-protest bill that was going on in St. Louis in one of our previous episodes. That would basically be a police bill of rights. That would, it sounds like yes, it would apply to police and like give them this kind of like extra um, immunity when I guess cracking down on protests, but it would also affect protests such as like make a stronger fence for like defacing monuments or trying to pull down monuments. And it is interesting that there's this wave of anti-protest bills that are kind of going, I guess, international at this point. And I think I should have done my research here, but with Breonna Taylor, they now have protest bills that I sound terrible. I think it's Kentucky, right?
Yeah, that's something I forgot to mention. That is part of the new bill that they're trying to push through is against defacing monuments, which can be punishable by up to 10 years in prison.
Sorry,
What's that?
I was just going to ask, what stage is this bill in now?
I think it went through. This was its second vote, so I think it has to go through a third one.
So it passed its first vote.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it passed pretty overwhelmingly.
This might be a from what doesn't work, and I think one of the
wow.
Well, no, I mean I
all of
a question to come in through here. I think they've talked about having plainclothes officers outside of clubs.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a thing that came out of this, which was, it's kind of like, I don't want to say funny, but it's like, morosely funny of like that they're trying to, make measures for London to be safer for women, obviously, in the wake of this. And one of the answers was that as, lockdown gets eased and like nightclubs and bars start opening again, that they're trying to make legislation that plainclothes officers will be placed inside bars.
The catalyst for the situation is a plainclothes officer. For this situation of like that resulted in the end of her.
Yeah, it was like, we're talking about a woman who was murdered by a fucking cop. Like, it is not the fucking answer.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go right ahead. One thing that just annoyed me about this week, before we get into the horrific things that happened later in the week, they released a new intel report about Russia's involvement in the 2020 election, or the alleged involvement in the election. So I'm just going to read some high-level bits here and just tell you why I'm a little bit annoyed. Here's first a couple graphs. It says President Vladimir V. Putin of Russia authorized extensive efforts to hurt the candidacy of Joseph R. Biden Jr. during the election last year, including by mounting covert operations to influence people close to President Donald J. Trump, according to a declassified intelligence report released on Tuesday. The report does not name those people who seem to be involved, but it does seem to refer to Mr. Trump's former personal lawyer, Rudolph W. Giuliani, who relentlessly pushed accusations of corruption about Mr. Biden and his family involving Ukraine. And then here's a line from the report. It says, quote, Russian state and proxy actors who all serve the Kremlin's interest work to affect U.S. public perceptions. And then I want to, here's a few highlights from further down the graph. Sorry, one sec. The report also found that neither Russia nor other countries tried to change ballots themselves. Efforts by Russian hackers to gain access to state and local networks were unrelated to efforts by Moscow to influence the presidential vote. And then one other line that I thought was interesting, it says, while it was declassified by the Biden administration, the report is based on work done during the Trump administration, according to intelligence officials, reflecting the vastly different views that officers had from their political overseers, meaning the presidents, who were appointed by Mr. Trump. So it's a Trump report declassified during the Biden administration about how horrible Russia is. So
yeah.
I love booing.
Boo this story. Fuck, marry, kill the Russiagate shit. I'm so like, this is the thing that killed me about this, was like, it was like, you won the election and we're still have to talk about this.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, can we move on? No one cares.
Vernon, just because this is like the thorn in my side and has been since Trump's been elected, I think there's like obviously America has gone through so many horrible things internally that to pin those all in Russia, I think is just disingenuous to those actual grievances. But I feel like I'm in the minority view here. I just want to see, like, as someone, I don't know how closely you followed the story or if you gave a shit at all, but how do you feel about it? How have you felt about it? Yeah, if you have any opinion.
I mean, honestly, it feels like it's been dragged out for so long that at this point I don't feel much about it. And it's, I think you said, did you say allegedly that there
I
was like
inserted
Russian
that.
involved? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's kind of like when you talk about like 9/11, it's like it's like it's like an agreed upon truth that it was an inside job, you know? So I'm just I'm just like all right, we know the Russians hacked us and did some shit that was wrong. And now we're still talking about it in these like nebulous terms as if like, did it happen? Did it not happen? And we're like, we know that I don't know. I don't know if it's true or not, but I feel that like it is, by a lot of us anyway, believe that there was collusion between our ex-president and Putin to get him in office, and we've all accepted that, and we are ready to move past it and like hopefully make sure it never happens again. But that seems incredibly unlikely, and I'm sure it will happen again. But that's kind of how I feel about it, is that like it's terrible, and we're still kind of talking about it in a way that doesn't fully accept that it's real, and we're also trying to like scapegoat Russia and like just like put it off on someone else. Like, no, like this was a partnership. It's very likely that it was a partnership, and we should accept that and reckon with that instead. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we have to get on to the really just beyond this week, just the terrible events that happened in Georgia. The killing spree by, I don't even, what is the name? Robert Allen Long?
Yeah, I feel like we shouldn't even say his name.
Yeah, I agree. Joe, let's cut that out. Yeah, I don't know other than to say like this very terrible week.
Yeah.
In regards to that. So how do we start this discussion?
I mean, I can start it. We have you seen the tweets that NBC has been sending out, like how Black people can be more supportive to? It is honestly like it. I read though. I've read that tweet, and it felt like if you saw someone come up and slap your friend, and then that person that slapped your friend looked at you and goes, "This is how you can prevent this from happening next time."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but you did this. This is you.
Yeah.
Why? I wasn't even close enough to prevent it from happening. Like I was standing too far, and I'm just like, it honestly it felt like Mr. NBC, just some like generic white person is like, Black people need to be more helpful to. And I, as a Black person, I'm like, yeah, of course we all like want to support each other, and I do support like our brothers and sisters of all races for sure. But that just felt like it was trying. That felt like not negging, but like a way to start infighting amongst people of color, which is just, I mean, that's how white supremacy works, divide and conquer. And that felt like a blatant attempt to divide and conquer. Because like a lot of people's reactions are gonna be, well, what about us on both sides? Which is like a bullshit reaction from both sides.
Yeah. What editor approved that article?
I told you, Mr. NBC.
No, I mean, I totally agree.
The man himself.
The man himself.
The peacock.
The big man, Mr. NBC.
I want to speak to the manager.
I want to talk to the president of NBC, Mr. NBC.
That reminds me, I follow this Instagram account because it's kind of activist minded, I suppose. It at least makes me think Chaka Bars, CHAKABARS. I still can't tell agenda wise what they're going after, but again, they do post some provoking stuff. And right after that, right after the killing spree, the murder, posted some some videos showing like this museum in China that compared black people or Africans to monkeys. And then there was another video right after that doing something very similar. And this is like a pretty, I would say, like, quote unquote, pro black account. Like, not by virtue that he lives in Nigeria, but I know he immigrated to Nigeria from the United States to like, I don't know, like connect back with roots and things like that. So it was just really like blatant divide and conquer tactics.
Mhm.
And I don't want to drive the conversation to this point, but I guess how did you guys feel about some of the Instagram posts that you saw in the wake of the tragedy, and I guess in comparison to a lot of the activism that we've seen on social media?
Yeah, I mean the first thing that like really stuck out to me is, aside from just hearing it, because I found out about the situation itself from posts on Instagram, just like news sources that I follow.
Mm-hmm.
But then I very quickly there started to be this conversation, or not really conversation, these clips floating around. I posted one myself of one of the cops saying that the exact quote was, well, I'm not going to say exact quote. A version of this quote is that one of the cops said that the shooter had a bad day and this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how we talk about mass shooters, like white male mass shooters, when they kill other people, is they had a bad day. Then suddenly there's a concern for mental illness, uh, which, when there should always be a concern of people's mental illness, but like that's not really what this is. Like this is a constant thing that is happening with a lot of radicalized white guys.
Mm-hmm.
And to just pawn that off and say that this person they killed 8 people less than 24 hours before he said this.
Yeah.
So like that's just so dismissive. And then there was also talk of a cop before him was denying or not acknowledging. Someone asked him if it was a hate crime, and he chose to. One of the reporters asked him if it was a hate crime, and he chose to kind of steer the conversation away from that and imply that he doesn't believe that that is the case, and instead said that he thinks it's the result of a sexual addiction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the guy is fetishizing Asian women on one end, is what this cop is alluding to. And then on the other side, he just had a bad day. So if you combine those two things, you go on a shooting rampage and kill, I believe it was six Asian women, 6 East Asian women, and 2 others.
Mm-hmm.
Across multiple spas in Georgia.
Drove around.
Yeah, like plenty, like
planned out.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not speaking about this in the most eloquent way. I'm still processing.
Oh, it's all right.
But yeah.
I think that was something I was really surprised by. Of like the second I saw about the shooting, and then so like obviously it sounds on its like, I think you're exactly right. Like, even if it was like, let's say this guy does have a sex addiction or something, it's clearly like racialized in that it's being directed at Asian women, so one way or another. But yeah, this like clear obfuscation of the fact that this is like a racially motivated crime, like I kind of it was bizarre to me how hard, even like the New York Times, I think, was putting stuff like that into the story, and like people are kind of like working hard to sort of ignore that aspect of it. And just to play devil's advocate for a moment, of going back to kind of like with the stuff with Trump and Russiagate, that it made me think of like, how long are we going to keep Trump as this boogeyman? Because obviously like the China virus stuff that came from him is really, really detrimental. And definitely, like, we know that the shooter had been posting stuff about that, of like COVID coming from China. Also, the chief of police, who said he had a bad day, had also been like selling T-shirts or some shit with that. So like, we know how damaging that was. But I do think that it's a little cheap to. I think it ignores the fact that there is an insane amount of anti-Chinese rhetoric happening in our public discourse right now. I mean, we're really, and on the left and the right, they're really ginning up a Cold War mentality with China. And so trying to look to sex addiction, or just saying it was because of some choice words that Trump had, I think it really like it underpins, or like it undercuts like a really serious a really serious anti-Asian sentiment that is not just localized in radical uh, alt-right white male shooters necessarily. I mean, obviously it manifests itself in the worst possible ways in this, but I think there's a culture of anti-Asian sentiment that's been brewing for quite a while
Yeah,
that nobody really wants to discuss in any meaningful way.
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I kind of want to get.
Um, guys,
Okay.
I do want to, because I attempted to give you the exact quote earlier. I want to give it to you now. And Ben, you said it was the chief of police.
I think it was the chief of police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The quote is, "Yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did." That is a really apathetic statement, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
it's so removed from the reality of the actions and the emotions they caused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's very, I mean, apathetic's the right word for it too. It's this blasé sort of thing. Like I know you're supposed to be, I guess, like a strong, steady presence in that situation, but it's like that's not that. That's
That's
heartless.
dismissive. It feels dismissive.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's sort of this isn't that big a deal.
And the shirt's been the same person was also seen on Facebook selling shirts that said "imported virus from China." It's spelled that way. CHY-NA. And then there's the Corona beer logo is like on the shirt as well. A lot of anti-China rhetoric happening, as you were saying.
Yeah, and like maybe this guy did have a sex addiction and said that stuff or whatever. And like I'm gonna kind of look at him as a unreliable narrator. I don't really trust the mental acuity of someone who's capable of doing something like this. But to try and act like it's not related is stupid and unhelpful and incredibly crass.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier that this situation was not mental illness. I don't know that for sure. I shouldn't have said that. I guess what I meant to say is that the system or the continuation of situations like this like cannot just be swept under the rug as like a general. Oh, this person was having a bad day, or this person has mental illness. Like no, like it's not that simple, and it's unfair to use that as a way to like let someone off the hook and then condemn other people is what I was trying to get to.
No, yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I do think it needs to be because people kind of think it needs to be like an either or
Exactly.
situation with these lone gunmen, and it's like okay, when it's an ISIS fighter doing this, it's they have a horrible ideology and this kind of
Right.
thing, and they're disturbed minds. But then when it's some kid shooting up a school, mental illness, and it's like I kind of think it's both for both of them.
Yes.
So it's a mix of bad media, bad influences, and also just people like these are disturbed people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to interject.
Doesn't mean we need to feel bad for them, but
I wanted to interject with another import from Oat, and that's is it the how white section?
Oh boy. Yes. How wide is this film or this reality? We should say.
This reality. I don't know. Just to again, it's conjecture to assume that he has mental illness or doesn't have mental illness, but this one for me was pretty impactful because that's going to be the case because they've already said it as much. I don't know if they've used the word mental illness, but it really is the excuse for every white male shooter, and I just don't know how long. Hopefully, this is the end. I guess, like, and I don't think that expanding terrorism laws, I can't really get down on because when they were trying to do that for Muslims who are, excuse me, like any kind of fundamentalist or whatever you want to label them, when it was during the Obama administration, there was an uptick in, like Islamic fueled killings or whatever. Again, however you want to characterize them. I don't think expanding terror laws is the right way to do it. Expanding surveillance on these people is the right way to do it because oftentimes by emphasizing or expanding surveillance on these people, I think that they become more self-conscious and probably more feel like trapped in a cage, and that they're like there's just a reaction to over surveillance. I think at the same time, mental illness is like this. It almost makes these people independent of some kind of like connective tissue that is there. And I mean, we started to call them incels, or radicalized by Trump, whatever you want to call them. And I guess, yeah, the insanity defense here is truly the how white factor of probably the decade, if not the century. So again,
I
this
mean,
is me just rambling, but yeah, hopefully that makes some kind of sense.
No, it does, and I feel that this is as white as it gets. Like this is yeah, this is white supremacy. This is what it means to be able to live here as a white person. You're brought in unharmed after killing 8 people, and then the cops go on TV and say he just had a bad day. It's just boys being boys. Like it's fine. Like they're backing this, like they're backing this guy up. Kind of defending him in a way.
Mhm.
Like how do you why are you telling us about this supposed like sex addiction and like saying this is a bad day, and like while you're also moonlighting by selling uh kung flu like t-shirts online, like what, like like, do you know this guy, like what, it's just weird. You can see the kinship, the brotherhood that this cop and the shooter have, like they
Well,
uh,
isn't that always the thing when they're like the same thing with like when you heard people talking about what the fuck was his name, Dylan Roof and stuff. It's like you see this deferential treatment they'll give them because they see a bit of themselves in these guys.
yes,
They can empathize with them.
yeah.
So that's why, yeah, that's where this comes from. It's like I've had bad days too and wanted to shoot up, you know,
And
3 Asian spas. Like,
this is what I think the type of feeling people get when they watch. And even though I do think this is like a mostly great film, but like I think this is what people feel when they watch like Taxi Driver,
Yeah.
mhm.
and that's why I think movies like Joker are Taxi Driver without any of the nuance, and then like yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's I don't want to take us in a tangent, but yeah, there's a lot to say about how we reinforce these types of ideologies through cinema, and just white guys being victimized and lashing out violently.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I did
Yeah.
want to bring
Well,
up, or go ahead.
yeah, I was go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
The only thing I want to say is I know I brought up kind of like some of the Muslim so-called terror events that happened during the Obama administration. And one that there's two that actually stick out to me, and I'll try to be quick about them. The San Bernardino shooting, Syed Farouk and his wife.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I really got into this article that was never published called "How to Make a Jihadi," and it was examining each of these cases. And if you look at Syed Farouk and his wife, like clearly they did follow religion pretty closely, but if you look at some of the workplace arguments that Farouk went through, um, with this strangely, and not to get into this territory, but this like messianic, like hardcore Orthodox Jewish guy, and they would argue about religion in the workplace often,
Yeah.
and he actually killed, people in the workplace. I again, this is not an excuse for that, but I think maybe categorizing it as terrorism versus a workplace argument, um, and how that can evolve, and how like those kind of stresses that can be put on our life, especially if you were an immigrant to this country, especially if you were a Muslim in this country. Um, I'm just saying I think that could be some added context. And then I want to talk about Omar Mateen at the Pulse nightclub shooting, that we all remember, which has kind of been hailed as this like anti-gay moment in society and U.S. history. And I'm not saying that it's not an anti-gay moment. Like clearly, he chose a gay nightclub to start killing people in. At the same time, I was reading the transcripts from the call he had with police while he was barricaded in there, and it talks about, he explicitly says, "I want you to stop killing people in Syria. I want you to stop bombing people in Syria." And I guess I don't think that this person, again, we're not going to name him, maybe deserves this kind of context, but maybe if we are going to apply mental illness to anybody, I think we should apply it to everybody, is a way to understand like why crime happens. So again, this is my tangent. Ben or whomever wants to go in, go for it.
Well, no, I just wanted to see if since we got all those out, should we rate the week on
Oh,
that
wait,
happy
wait,
note?
wait.
Wait,
There's
okay,
one
sorry.
big event that happened at the end of this week that
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Sorry. This is the
yeah,
I mean, this is really the climax of the week.
yeah, absolutely. Biden falling down the stairs to Air Force One.
Correction, he fell up the stairs 3 times.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Up the stairs. So
But then,
Uh,
Dan, I want to just touch on what you just said for a second. Like
yeah.
I think most importantly, we should analyze like how, not we, like us as individuals, like and fix this right now in this podcast, but like us as a society, as a people, as a species, uh need to dig deeper into how we push people to do such things. Like it's not that they just broke and they you go to like a gay nightclub and shoot people. Like it's not that's not just like a again that's not just a bad day, but like what how are we getting people there? Like what is our government doing to push everyone to their breaking point? You know, like and it comes in multiple ways. You know, people yeah
Go on, go. Yeah.
I mean, it's just I know this is the place, but I can't get into it right now. I guess you know it's yeah it just frustrates me so much. You know, I just feel that these situations happen, and then there's all these ways to explain it away. But it's like we're also manufacturing these situations. You know, like
Yep.
this is our fault. This is the fault of the people that run our country. You know,
Mhm.
and yeah, this I don't know if this guy. I don't think this guy deserves I don't know if he deserves context for his actions, but I think everyone else does. You
Mhm.
know, like of course, this is a person that did like a terrible act. This is incredibly like the worst example of maybe a homophobic act. But the choice to have it not be as publicized that like he was specifically talking about or just like asking demanding that we stop burning bombing Syria is like I feel like that's something that's like to make sure that the public doesn't have that information is a disservice to the people
Mhm.
Yeah.
at the same time, you know. But
Well, and also saying that saying that it was an ISIS attack. People they labeled
right,
it an
Yeah.
ISIS attack, which everything that happened at that time in particular was ISIS, right? ISIS was
Was
everywhere, but
allegedly.
right. So it's not even just explaining it away. It's like this guy weaponizing himself, and then us, our news outlets, weaponizing him as well, weaponizing his ideology to validate bombings of Syria. Like it's yeah, it's all everyone's an opportunist, you know.
And if you want to really drive that to the logical consequence, like every time there was a so-called ISIS terror attack, Trump went up in points.
Yeah,
I think that would happen with any president too.
yeah.
I mean, I think it hurt the Clinton. I think it hurt Clinton, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was saying this like in the context of the presidential election for 2016.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said with all of these people are like these bad these bad ideas wherever they come from, if they come from an alt-right place or if they come from a religious extremist place or something, like these really foment in the shadows and really like pushing these ideologies onto the dark web. I'm not saying it like we need to like maybe like have town hall meetings with Nazis or something, but there's something to be said for there's something to be said for pushing these people into like the dark corners of the world where these ideologies and these sort of mental illnesses can like ferment and become stronger to the point where like because that's really where I think like some of these breaking points can happen, right? Is just because you're sitting in a fucking basement with an AR-15 in your own thoughts so much to the point where you can convince yourself that this is like righteous or needed. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but that's where I do see like a through line between these different kinds of terrorist acts, whether it's just someone shooting up their school or someone shooting up a nightclub or someone having like a clearly racially motivated attack. It's like these people are like however whatever flag they're waving, they are cut from the same cloth in a certain way. And I think like the more we try and separate like this kind of attack from this kind of attack, kind of obfuscates like the root causes of this kind of this sickness.
Yeah, I agree. Well said.
Yeah.
Vernon,
So Biden falling.
yeah, I hate this story a lot.
I think this, Dan. I think we can have this be going into our like some of our segments, but I think the Biden falling kind of went into a "you're hurting our feelings" sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Because I run this podcast's Instagram. Shout out VFAS podcast.
Shout out to
So
me.
I follow like I make a point of just following kind of all sorts of dumb like political stuff. Like I follow stuff I like, and then I purposefully, to my own detriment, follow stuff I do not like. You know, like I've got like Breitbart and like Soledad O'Brien and a bunch of people I find absolutely like infuriating. But one thing I saw from like left-wing social media is all this like pearl clutching about like you shouldn't be making fun of this fall, and it's like blah blah, and it's like, motherfucker, if this was Trump falling, that would be a meme for the next 30 years. It would be, we'd all be like, ha 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 ha. And second of all, it was an objectively funny fall. He fell 3 times. Comedy comes in up the stairs. It was truly Keaton-esque slapstick comedy. And I just think, I don't know. I mean, if we can't enjoy an old man falling down, then we're falling up. Yeah, where are we as a country?
I said I hated this story. This is my what doesn't work for me. So
this is the first thing I saw this morning when I looked at my phone. And then I immediately was like, is this real? You know,
it looks fake.
Look real, yeah. Oh, and that reminds me, and this is a gut reaction coming up soon, but do you guys, there was a parody video that everybody's favorite person in the world, Don Jr., shared of Trump golfing, and so it would show Trump hitting the golf ball and as if Biden would fall because he got hit by the golf ball, and then Trump.
Oh, that's a good edit.
Yeah, it's a good edit. Good.
I can see it clearly in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Vernon, you don't know this, but we have this is kind of becoming an ongoing theme, is Donald Trump Jr. aspiring comedian. Like,
oh God,
he's really trying hard to be like a wisecracker like his dad. And
you think he wants to be a comedian, or he just wants to be like an influencer or like a meme account owner?
I think he wants to be funny like his dad is, because I do think Trump can be funny. I think that's Don Sr. Like, I think like that was a lot of his trolling ability is, you know, he knows how to do it. And Don Jr.'s trying to do that, because I think like a lot of where political discourse is these days is not really about anything substantive. It's more about just like owning, you want to own the libs or you want to own the right. And like Don Jr. really just wants to own libs, and he just sucks at it. Like he's not terribly creative. He's not funny. He's not cool.
Wow. Yeah, it's true. Why do they even want to own the libs? All they want to do is just, you know, have brunch and eat avocado toast. You know, that's all they want to do, right?
Yeah. Let them have their lattes.
Well,
should we rate the week?
Yeah, let's rate the week.
This week fucking sucked. I thought it was a terrible week.
Yeah. Is that a 5-star rating? No.
right. Yeah, it'd be terrible, but also highly rated. I'm trying to think of anything that actually good happened this week, and
I'm gonna say half star. I think.
Yeah. Not to sound like this guy, but I didn't get a stimulus check this week, so 0 stars from me.
0 stars? Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't? You said?
I did not. No, and not because I make enough money. You know, so.
Were you yelling that at the FBI agent in your phone?
Basically, with the IRS agent, maybe. Yeah.
Vernon, if you haven't picked up on this entire podcast is us yelling at our FBI handlers.
Yeah.
As you should.
What's your rate for the week?
Mine?
Yeah.
I mean, I also got to give it a half star. It's a pretty bad week, you know?
Yeah, this week sucked. Fuck this week.
Yeah.
And then favorite scene, I guess, I can only think of Biden falling. That's probably the only bit of levity I got.
Yeah, I guess.
I have a one for favorites. Biden falling is solid, you know. I'm surprised he survived.
Actually, yeah. Good point. I mean, if he fell down the whole stairs, I don't. I could never say such things, but you know.
You know, his mind may not be there, but the man's doing push-ups every morning.
Someone did say you shouldn't laugh because he has bone spurs.
That's funny too, though.
That's funnier. That makes it even.
I don't know why they thought context would make it less. Yeah. Literally funnier now.
Don't give. Yeah, specificity is helps.
Wait,
Right.
Vernon, what's your scene?
My favorite scene, I want to take it back to the NBC News tweet that Mr. NBC himself posted that says, how Black people can be strong allies to Asian Americans right now. Then there's a link. Then there's a tweet, a response to that from Ashley Marie Preston that says, are y'all really telling me people, are y'all really telling me Black people, I'm sorry, cut this part out.
Yeah.
But are y'all really telling Black people how to be better allies to Asian people, especially after letting America's Got Talent rake Gabrielle Union over the coals for speaking up about Jay Leno's anti-Asian joke implying Korean people eat dog meat? It's the gaslighting for me. That's end tweet.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's perfect, and that perfectly illustrates their hypocrisy and how this is a blatant form of creating infighting amongst non-white peoples.
Nice. Yeah, fuck you, Mr. NBC.
Yeah.
Always hated that guy.
I want to talk about film in 1 minute. I do want to have one quick kind of end conversation about the killing earlier this week. And then Vernon, I really want to hear your thoughts about Joker and Taxi Driver, if you're down for that.
Yes. Sure.
Wait, are we doing our segments, Dan?
Oh yeah. Well, let me just say this before we proceed on. One thing that I was kind of trying to get at with the Instagram and social media conversation and in the wake of the killings is the resumption of normal life was kind of weird to me. It felt weird, especially last year was social media kind of stopped being this like escapism for a lot of people, and it ended up being more of like activism. And you knew at some point it was going to temper and moderate and go the other way. I don't say that in a positive way or a negative way. I just mean it's the reaction to this is I guess I just saw like prominent people who do share I would guess like social activism on their Instagram are also just posting like photos of their coffee that they were drinking. I saw this one artist that I follow post a new profile pic. Yeah, I don't know if you guys had the same reaction. What'd you say?
Who's the artist?
I don't know platform.
That's why you're not telling us?
Oh, I'll tell you. Yeah, Chloe Wise, CHLOEWISE.
Damn, I don't know who that is.
Okay. Yeah,
That's actually pretty artist. Yeah, but yeah, profile pic the day after I just thought was a little tone deaf. I was just wondering if you guys saw something like that.
I mean, I've been seeing that for months now. I think like people are trying to return to normal life. You can't see it because it's a podcast, but I did air quotes. Yeah. This has been happening for a while. It's not like there's been people that are been returning to normal life or like never left it. I guess like I had to like unfollow and like at first it was mute, but I had to unfollow like a lot of people who were just not taking the quarantine, not taking COVID seriously, and weren't even acknowledging the injustices that are. They've always been happening, but like they were being highlighted throughout this entire last year. And now I think it's worse. Like I'm seeing people at parties, and it just everyone has had their Black Lives Matter profile pic, and then those are slowly going away, and now we're getting pics of coffee and people on the beach. I feel like there is an uptick right now, but it's been, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm in LA and I follow a lot of LA people, and people just aren't taking any of this seriously. The virus, the killings of innocent people by the state and the citizens. It's just a lot of us don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say like after George Floyd and really everything like that wave of activism that came with it, like of course I posted things, and then of course I eventually went back to so-called like normal life, and again this one kind of brought that all back to reality for me, which sucks because it became so belated, and it was weird to be able to transition back and forth, I think. Or I don't know. I guess it's like exploring like how you actually feel about these things, or reflecting how you feel about these things is helpful, and also has made me reconsider. And I'm sure I will revert back to so-called normal life, but
I feel pretty terrible about it. It makes, honestly, like I think the reason I keep talking and then stopping and I'm getting frustrated as like the more I think about it as I do every day, because what I see happening is a lot of us want to get back to normal life. And
Mhm.
once people have the vaccine, it's okay to get back out. I think we're about to like embark on like a 3 year global party
Yep.
that is going to completely undo everything that a lot of people saw this year. Like a lot of us already knew, like of course, like Black people know, Asian people know, people of color in general are aware of this, but there are a lot of other people who like had their eyes open to just how bad things are, especially in this being maybe the most clear example in our lifetime of how much our government does not fucking care about us.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's like how people forget very easily. Like it's so easy for people to forget and normalize what they've experienced. And I think that coupled with the urge to just like be out of your home and have fun again is just it's all going to get swept under the rug quite easily because the goal for most of us, myself not included, is to have fun, is to make up for time lost and just
Mhm.
not feel like shit, you know? And I think that's going to be exploited and used against us. And I also think it's a part of like our programming to just seek the easiest option. I think people are like predisposed to do what is the simplest thing in order to just feel comfortable. I think comfort is the ultimate goal for most people.
Yeah.
And I think that's in our programming. And I think that's why a lot of people that are especially successful in their fields are like those who can acknowledge that like, oh, in order to get here I have to be uncomfortable and like work hard to like get past the situation.
Mhm.
And like that's how you get there. But then also there's like, that probably come from money as well. But I guess what I'm getting at is that like to make yourself better, regardless of anything else around you, is like a large part of that is facing discomfort head on, and not even just to make yourself better, but to like to be a better version of yourself to help those around you, you know. And so like that, even with me, I'm like I don't know, an Instagram activist as well, but like that's not enough. Like I need to get out as well and like do certain things that I haven't been doing, even though I've been protesting and trying to find like be a part of different organizations and be feet on the ground as well. But like there's like constant discomfort you have to face to actually incite change, you know. And I think most of us don't want that. I think most of us want a person to tell us what to do, to also have that person give us the easiest option because we just want to be comfortable, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's worth mentioning too that Black Lives Matter did start during the Obama administration, and then
Yeah,
really, in my opinion, gained a lot of traction thanks to Orange Man Bad, right? Trump
yeah,
being in office, I mean, it did give you a more, not you, but like the general you, someone to hate, a true enemy, and he really was a true enemy in my mind. So it's the back to brunch fear, right?
yeah. I mean, it's more than a fear. It's an inevitability. You know, like it's
Yeah.
gonna happen. It's people want to get back to normal life, and some people kind of did their best to never leave that.
Yeah,
And this isn't a nebulous. Some people, these are people I know. You know, like
yeah,
these are people we all know. We've seen it.
yeah,
We're seeing it. Yeah,
You guys want to do a gut reaction?
yeah.
sure.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. I'm going to put an article into the chat so you guys can look at it, but then I'll read a little bit from it.
I want to touch on something really quickly because I think something I just said could be misconstrued.
Cool.
I When I was speaking on success, I wanted to be clear that I was not in any way advocating for pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, which I feel like that kind of maybe could have sounded like that. But more so, what I'm getting at is like on when I was mentioned that panel earlier, is that I realized because I've seen this in myself, is that I've been placed in situations where someone would like say like offer me a job that I've never done before that like pays right, not maybe not never done before, but like never did on that scale, but like it paid well and it was like clearly a progression in my career, and I could feel myself being like, no, like I don't want to do this because like this is going to be hard, I'm uncomfortable, and then I'm because I'm lucky enough to be able to do this, I'm like, it doesn't matter that I feel this way, like I know this is good, so I just have to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that feeling can also happen when you're trying to be like an active I'm losing the word right now, but just like an activist, you know, like just like someone who is like able to educate them, like just educating yourself and like making it so that you're like a better citizen to like your family and like the people around you. It's just like it can't just be work, fun, home, and play video games. Like sometimes you gotta, yeah,
Yeah, well, and it's hard to see the gains too,
yeah,
right? Like it I can I sympathize that it is disheartening work because it's usually thankless and
yeah,
you don't get to see tangible results from it
yeah. It's
a lot of
hard
the
and
time.
it's hard and it places you. There's a lot of discomfort that comes with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's worth it. It's what has to be done. It's the work that needs to be done.
I think
Hmm.
that's a great clarifying point. If you know, like I feel the same way. It's like if you are offered a job that is like clearly something new, something that you might not feel as comfortable doing, and like that ability to say yes, I'm just going to do it because not only it pays me, but like I want to learn these new skills. I want to be
Yeah.
better at what I'm doing, right? And to even put that in political terms, I think is quite compelling. All right, so I'm clicking this Washington Post article. This is a gut reaction.
Yeah, so I got this from Matt Taibbi wrote a really good article last week about the Sovietization of mainstream media right now and reporting on the
Mm.
Biden's presidency, and he linked to this article. So this is something we've touched on before, but if you guys pulled this up, opinion: comedians are struggling to sorry, opinion: comedians are struggling to parody Biden. Let's hope this doesn't last. So Eva, I'm just going to read a little bit of the beginning and we can discuss this because I think it's pretty straightforward. But a sense of unease is starting to build on Saturday Night Live. Alec Baldwin has put away the blonde wig and orange makeup, unpuckered his lips, and retired his Donald Trump impression. The late night talk show hosts, nearly all of whom had mastered at least a rough approximation of Trump speak, are moving on to lesser targets such as Ted Cruz and Mitch McConnell. The first crisis of the Biden administration could be looming. America may have a president, the first in generations, who is impervious to impressionists.
How is that possible? Like
So
what?
so it goes on to just kind of talk about like how they've tried, like there was like Jason Sudeikis and there was that absolutely dog shit version that Jim Carrey did, even though I love Jim Carrey. And it's just talking about like how like trying to make the case that Biden is like unparodiable. Like it's
Tough
just like
challenge.
he's so
He
neutral
is a
or
parody.
something.
I don't get it. He is a parody.
That's
This
the
is
thing that's most ridiculous about this is Biden is so easy to make fun of.
Yeah.
In some ways, I think easier than Trump. Like,
Like he does
and
it unintentionally himself in every interview he's ever been in, or for at least for the last like 5 years. You know.
well,
yeah.
yeah, and that's what like Taibbi talks about it in his article a little bit. But like anybody saying this was like, have you like what Joe Biden have you been watching over the last year? Like, remember him on the campaign trail, like calling people fat and like yelling at supporters the
Wow.
second they questioned him, or literally challenging someone to a push-up contest.
Yeah, he's very often like threatening to beat people up, but he's like 5,500 years old, so I don't understand. Like, yeah, I don't get it. I feel like he's very easy to make fun of. Like, I think he's so easy to make fun of is that if they just like reenacted anything he's done in the last 5 or so years, then it would just be funny. I think that could be the joke. It's just a very true to form reenactment of one of his interviews with like nothing changed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about this in a previous episode, but the where real life like over parodied SNL, and it was that that meeting between Kanye and Trump in the White House.
Oh boy.
Yeah, the SNL skit pales in comparison to reality. So SNL, learn from your old
Yeah.
sketches.
Well, I
Does
think.
anyone? Oh, go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Ben.
Oh yeah, I think like one of the main takeaways, this is like a big sticking point for me that we've talked about on the show before, is like first of all, it's like the reason it isn't good is because these shows suck. Like they're bad at doing satire, especially SNL.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you guys. Like, who is watching SNL?
I don't know. But apparently a lot of people, because I'll see their fucking political cold opens all the time, like by people like posting on Facebook or something, or people talking about how great it was.
it's such an interesting job to me because like I know how highly coveted it is for like actors slash comedians, and but at the same time, like when I think of people that work on SNL, I'm like, oh, those are all the corny people, you know? Like not that,
Yeah.
not, you know, there's
Yeah.
like people that come out that are like amazing and are funny, you know, like Eddie Murphy, who used to be really funny, etc., and Chris Rock and Bill Hader most recently. But like at the same time, it's like, but it's still really corny. Like it's so boring. I don't. I yeah. It's weird to know that that's such a highly coveted job where funny people get to go to not be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of the thing with this of saying like we don't know how to parody him, uh my response would be you absolutely do know how to parody him. You're just
Yes.
not willing to. Because to do a proper parody of Joe Biden is really simple. It's just you have to be a senile old man.
Right.
And no one's willing to do that because then we'd have to admit that our president is fucking sundowning before our very eyes.
right. What I was kind of wondering is like, are they also just afraid of making fun of like deteriorating brains on TV?
Oh yeah, it's ableist, right? It's
It
ableist to
is,
talk.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's very ableist, yeah. So I'm like, is there? Because like I mean, we're laughing at an old man falling up the stairs 3 times. You know, like we're being ageist and ableist in that in this situation. You know, doesn't mean it's not funny, but it's true. You know,
I have to be mean for a moment, but we should just get Sarah Cooper to do impressions.
wow.
Who's Sarah Cooper?
Yeah, I don't want to get into it.
But I want to know.
Off of-
I kind of forgot.
impersonating Trump. What's up?
I forgot who Sarah Cooper is too.
Yeah. She lip synced Trump speeches and became.
Oh yeah, she's hilarious.
Is she?
Kind of, because she's not like she's like I feel like if you are so unfunny that like you can like circle around and be funny, like I got because like she's doing the type of humor of like a talented 4-year-old, but she's like a bit like she's a full-on woman and she's very much committing to this like bit that a 4-year-old should be doing, and like that. So I guess it's not funny, but I am actually being mean and then realizing that I've just been laughing at this person. I'm sorry, Sarah, I don't know you.
We're laughing
but,
at
you know, you do you.
You do you.
Sorry, Sarah.
All right. Well, yeah. So that's my main one. Just like I think it's another place of just showing how like opposition sucks, and by extension now satire sucks, and it's like just the idea that there's nothing to make fun of with Joe Biden is the biggest collective lie I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's funny seeing stuff like this because it just really shows like how stupid the media thinks we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll just tell us anything, and yeah.
I'm
Wow.
gonna send you Vernon's inadvertent gut reaction.
Okay.
So
Just
check
on.
check your WhatsApp.
Oh jeez.
Okay.
You gotta hear the music though.
Yeah, the music
Like
really.
the music's pretty essential. But I did not mean to send this for the record. I meant to send it. This.
It gets weirder, like as I'm watching it. Kind of impressed by the editing skills.
Ben is stunned. Dan, I do want to say that like this has Big Bev vibes.
I know. I was kind of feeling that too, right?
For the audience, Bev is that's Dan's mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the coolest moms I've ever met.
She says
I don't think I have a reaction to that. I was just
I
don't know if we can use this, but
I meant to send that to Darrell and I sent it to Dan. But Dan, I'm glad you saw it, you know. Ben, I'm especially glad you saw it.
I think we just all have way too much time on our hands. That we've really like TikToks have reached like the auteur period.
Yeah. Wow.
I want
but
to.
It,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it's very impressive that this older lady who is, you know, at least in her 70s, knows how to use a smartphone better than I've seen anyone know how to use a smartphone. Like I can't do what she did on that.
I don't know. I have no idea how she
So
did that.
we're breaking a general rule is Vernon or somebody, can you explain what we just watched?
Oh yes. Jesus. I did not mean to send this. But it's a video of a lady who was a grandma who I would honestly say at the least is like 78 years old. And in the video she's just like pulling out every editing trick that you can do to like make it look like she is wearing like 40 outfits in the span of 15 seconds, like standing on one end of the room and like throwing a hat and then appearing in the front of the camera wearing the hat in a different outfit. It's really stupid. I saw it and I was like, I feel like Darrell should see this, and then I accidentally sent it to Dan.
We
Shout out to Darrell.
yeah, a lot of great movie magic in that 30 seconds.
It's pure chaos. I think that's what attracts me to things like this. Like I like things that like are just so chaotic and like should not exist. I'm like, oh, I must watch this, except for the 4 hour Zack Snyder cut. I will not be watching that.
I'm with you.
No over analyzing that.
Right, but I did recently watch Jack Who Built a House. And that was rough, and I did not know that was a Lars Van Trier film until his name appeared on screen 5 seconds into it, and I was like, damn it, I'm not prepared for this. And I watched it and I was not prepared.
It was who stars in that?
I forget his name. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But it was a brutal watch.
In the meantime, I did put in my gut reaction to the chat if you guys want to pull that up. And then I'll just read a couple paragraphs here.
Wait, I have to watch this, you said?
No, you can just pull it up and read the headline, and I can give you some context behind it.
What did you say, Dan?
I'm just going to read.
Yeah, could you read it for me? Because New York Times is trying to make me subscribe, and
okay. So the headline of this article is Piers Morgan can't wait to bring the worst of America home. And then the subtext of that is British TV executives see opportunity, and money to be made in bringing American cable-style clashes to their screens. I'll just read part of this article because it really does give some context.
Dan, before we get into it, can I say one thing?
Yes, please.
The actor you asked me about, his name is Matt Dillon, and the name of the film is actually The House That Jack Built. I'm pretty sure I said Jack Who Built a House.
Which I think is a
better title. I agree.
Yeah. I do like Matt Dillon. I think he was in.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah. So again, it's called Piers Morgan can't wait to bring the worst of America home. And here's some paragraphs that really stuck out to me. It says, when Piers Morgan stormed off the set of Good Morning Britain last week as a black colleague chided him for trashing Meghan Markle, it felt like a familiar American scene, a tone-deaf old-timer getting swept aside by an anti-racist younger generation as the culture of media changes. Mr. Morgan...
sorry. I was just going to say, so we can call him... What did you say? He was a what old-timer?
A tone-deaf old-timer.
We can call him a tone-deaf old-timer, but we can't call Biden a tone-deaf old-timer.
Right.
No, because Biden's nice.
Yeah, creepy Joe.
Yeah.
Mr. Morgan, this is back to the article. It says, Mr. Morgan sure embraced that narrative. Last week, he tweeted, among other things, a photograph of a defiant Winston Churchill, a clip of Tucker Carlson calling him an inspiration, and then, apparently getting impatient for the arrival of the mob, a demand that the Society of Editors remove his nomination as columnist of the year. Quote, I am canceling myself, unquote, he announced. Owned, right, self-owned.
This guy's a baby.
And then it goes on. There's just a few more things I want to read. It says, British media has traditionally presented a dynamic opposite to that of the United States. Here, in the United States, we have radio screamers and spittle-flecked television hosts, while broadsheet newspapers seek to balance both sides of the story. In Britain, the newspapers are often wildly partisan, and the television is customarily staid, calm. But Mr. Morgan's theatrics last week seemed to signal a shift and to mark the extent to which the forces driving the culture wars are money and commercial opportunity. Yeah, and then I just want to say, it talks about um anyways, it talks about how yeah, the Piers Morgan has said that this wasn't a planned walk off. Um yeah. Yeah, but this is a great line about it. It goes, the show for the first time outdrew the BBC last Thursday when he walked off set, and he's walking straight into a bidding war for his services between two new news networks, one backed by the Fox News founder Rupert Murdoch. Both are aiming to capitalize on populist discontent with the BBC. And yeah, it talks about how like America's basically exporting our culture wars abroad.
All right. First of all, has this person ever watched British television? Because British news is all people shouting at each other. Like, like it's completely sensational. That is on its face not true. Like, yeah, it's like have you ever seen
I've
like
not
a
really
BBC?
seen that. I always thought like BBC was pretty calm.
I mean the interviewing style is like super abrasive. And
I've
people
seen a
get
lot of those clips. It's pretty aggressive, yeah.
Or like better yet, look at Parliament. Like look at clips of Parliament. They are like Parliament right now is what I imagine Congress looked like in like the 1870s. Like it is a bunch of like old boys club shouting childish insults at each other and being like, "Arr!" and like stomping on the floor. It is completely uncivil and childish and ridiculous.
Ben, I think you pointing this out is causing me to realize like how much I've normalized seeing this, because when I saw him walk off in this argument, I didn't really think anything of it because it seemed like something that would happen on British TV, on British news. So like it must be that common for me to be like, oh, okay, you know?
Yeah. And and that's also like Piers Morgan's thing. Like he's a big baby. Like he's just like that's always been his thing to like storm off. I mean, let's not forget that like all of his talking shit about Meghan Markle, a lot of it comes from the fact that he has like a personal like bone to pick with her because she like wouldn't return his texts or
like
something.
that guy says in that interview when he walks off. It's wild. All of it's very on brand, which is exactly why he would have to say it wasn't planned, because that's something he would do.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Piers Morgan really lost. Anybody who hates him from this already hated him.
Yeah.
I don't think he lost any stock from this.
His points went up. He gained stock.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
and he's gonna get his own new show where he can just capitalize on being big baby boy.
It's just gonna be called Pierce Walking, and it's gonna be Billy on the Street, but with Piers Morgan.
Would watch that.
I would.
Does it? Yeah, I want him to. What if it's like a show, but it's only like 3 minutes long, and he walks off every time?
Yeah, because he gets mad at the people on the street that like can't answer his questions quickly enough.
Actually, guys, this is a good reimaginings.
It is.
Yeah.
That's why I love this category.
Yeah. Okay, so I failed on the gut reaction. I guess I haven't watched enough British.
That's good. Well, we have one more. We have one more that Dan and I have seen, but it's a gut reaction for Vernon.
Uh-oh.
Dan, do you want to?
Where is it? Which is it? The one? Is it the first one in the chat? The Charlie Hebdo?
No, not that.
Okay.
No, Papa John.
Oh.
Oh.
Gosh, yeah. Yeah, Papa John has spent 20 months trying to rid the N-word from his vocabulary.
Which N-word is that, Dan?
Yeah, Dan.
Oh, I'm not familiar. Please.
Yeah. I will say there was a tweet that made me laugh about this. That it showed Papa John's face like really like intense, and he was supposed to say salt and vinegar chips, but he couldn't get past.
Oh my God! Wow.
I just want to know.
This is the gut reaction you want from me, the black guest on your podcast.
I'm holding the mic up for you, Vern.
Wait, what did you say? You're warming the mic
up for that reaction. Yes.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, when I see shit like that, it just makes me laugh, because I'm just like, of course Papa John's racist. Like, his name's Papa John. Like, I mean, obviously that's not really his name, but I'm like, what the fuck else am I supposed to expect from this guy?
Yeah.
It's like it kind of like I worked. Luckily, that's long behind me, but I worked 10 years in retail, and there's these moments in retail where like there's like people that can be mean to you, and it like actually ruins your day. But then there's people that can be like so absurdly mean to you that it's just funny, and that's what this hits. It's like, yeah, okay, this guy is insane. Which is like yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's clearly not actually insane, but like I'm just like using that word to say that like I don't fucking care, and like the situation itself is insane is what I should say. And that just makes me laugh. What'd you say, Ben?
I like the specificity of it. Like what process are you going through over the last 20 months?
Oh my God.
Is he like, are you taking classes? Are you reading books? Like, is he studying?
Yeah, what's his diet with that?
I want to tell you guys about a thing. I know it won't get because neither one of you, and I'm like basically sponsored by Zack Snyder at this point, but neither one of you have seen the Justice League movie, right? The 4-hour one.
Do they say the N-word a lot in it?
They do.
Well, that's what they had to cut, right?
I haven't seen it. That's why it's 4 hours long. They put all those back in. But yeah, have y'all seen it?
No.
Okay, well, I got 15 minutes into it, but I decided that I'm never gonna watch it. At the beginning of the film, there's this. I'm showing it to you now. There's this screen. It looks. You can't really see it.
Okay.
But anyway, it says this film is presented in a 4:3 format to honor Zack Snyder's like original vision, yada yada yada. But then someone memed it and says this film is presented in a 4:3 format to honor the time Papa John said he ate 40 pieces in 30 days. So this is actually what I thought you were going to bring up when you said Papa John, because my friend Carl sent me this morning.
Oh, that's...
No, we're talking about the re-education of Papa John, which apparently is not going well.
Wow, is that going to be scored by Lauryn Hill? The miseducation of Lauryn Hill and the re-education of Papa John.
It's the follow-up we've been waiting for.
I would like to hear Lauryn Hill's comments on this.
Honestly, they would probably be problematic because
I'm sure
she'd be saying stuff that she should not be saying or feeling. It's not okay.
This is somehow she makes herself the villain in this.
So that was gut reactions. I just want to say, who did leak that story about Papa John's? Like, yeah,
probably Mama John. I don't know.
Probably.
I think it was his own PR team. They're trying to. They thought it would read as good press though that he's trying. It's like when the State Department leaks stuff that they want the New York Times to print.
Wait, hold on. This is real?
It is a real.
Yeah, this is real.
Oh.
No, we didn't. Dan, where's the?
Oh no, I wouldn't. Oh, if I could only make up something like that,
No, I mean, I thought this was like a fake thing, like floating, because I've seen the like pictures of his of his keyboard, and it's like you can see that like the letters that spell out the N-words are like faded, and I thought this was just like a continuation of that meme. Wow. Okay. I mean, I do still have the same reaction because like it's all absurd, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the.
Oh God,
I don't know if this is the article. There's a bunch of them, but yeah, here's from The Guardian. Papa John's founder says he's trying to get rid of this N-word in his vocabulary.
Damn. We need to start a GoFundMe, like get a new lexicon for Papa.
Is that the name of the GoFundMe? Get a new lexicon.
Yeah,
Lexicon for Papa.
I think lexicon.
I like the re-education of Papa John.
Yeah, I like the.
I do like that too, actually.
Also, I gotta think. If you've been working on this for 20 months, he must really like saying the N-word.
Yeah, he must love hip hop music, I guess. I don't know. I feel like that
it really is his love of hip hop music.
Yeah. I feel like that's the go-to for white people that like said it when they should. It's like I just listen to so much Kanye, You're like, get the fuck out of here. Okay.
Yeah, he's just really into Death Row Records. No, it's just his favorite word.
I do want to Sorry, I just got sucked into a Papa John's. I'm not gonna say Papa John's hole. That's weird.
You got sucked into Papa John's hole. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I almost slipped.
That's disgusting.
That is disgusting.
Should we get into some films?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah. Yeah. So we wanted to kind of take the OAT format and talk about some more recent films and some Oscar favorites. So I know that Dan didn't do his homework and watch Judas and the Black Messiah. I watched it last night, but I thought it'd be good to talk about that and talk about the Trial of the Chicago 7, because they're sort of tangential, same time frame, same timeline.
I mean, there's literally a person who was in both of those films.
Yeah.
Yeah. But first, I want to know why Dan didn't do his homework.
Yeah.
And I want to know what are the repercussions of that.
Ooh, right.
I mean, there should be, because he rarely does his homework.
This is true. I am bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I made it through all of high school without doing my homework. You'll be fine.
Yeah, he doesn't watch shit.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't get a chance to watch Judas and Black Messiah yet. I really like Lakeith Stanfield, and yeah, I like Daniel Kaluuya too, I guess.
Well, you're gonna love him in this role.
Am I?
No.
No.
No, he's a piece of shit. To say the least. To say the least. That is such a nice way of putting that.
Like, his character's a piece of shit, or just he as an actor is a piece of shit in it?
Well, okay, that's not where I was going with this, but his character is beyond a piece of shit. Like, that is a very nice way of putting it. We'll get into it in a second, but I don't know Lakeith Stanfield. I wouldn't call him a piece of shit, but I've seen in the last like 4 months, I've seen consistent sus behavior with him, and it all started with his dirty fingernails, and I think on a GQ magazine cover, which is like, that's a red flag. But then he started like posting pro-Trump stuff and then deleting it like an hour later. And then he's like kind of a troll, but he keeps posting like really kind of like fucked up shit and then deleting it like really quickly. And so like it kind of, there's signs of him being maybe like, I don't know, like a disingenuous person or like a troll in like a really negative way. And so I would never call him a piece of shit. Well, not never. Maybe I could in the future, but I can't right now. But there have been signs to point to like maybe Lakeith is not as great as everyone thinks he is, like as a person. I don't know. Yeah. Time will tell.
Vernon,
I will say that seeing him act next to Daniel Kaluuya in that movie does highlight his weaknesses as an actor.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Kaluuya is fantastic in it, I thought. I think I've always liked him, and also he's Brit, which I always forget when I'm watching him play Americans. But yeah, so yeah, I guess we could just get into Judas, and then we can do Trial of the Chicago 7 next. Well, like, so Dan, you can sit back and listen for once. Yeah, I thought first of all, I thought Kaluuya was incredible. I always like him, but I thought his performance was great. I thought like he was fine. Didn't he get an Oscar nom though?
I mean, yeah, but what does that mean?
Nothing. Oscars mean nothing.
Yeah. I do want to say that the Oscars mean nothing, but the Globes mean less than nothing.
The Globes, I feel like the Globes are making fun of me sometimes with who they nominate.
For sure. The Globes are like YouTube awards. It's weird. It's fucking strange. And like, yeah, and I feel that this is the year where people kind of forgot that like the Globes are useless. You know? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're not useless to the people that win, and I'm sure their stock goes up in many ways. But yeah, they're just not respectable awards. Yeah. Not that any of them are, but they're especially not respectable in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. Thinking about that, I've had to thought about this for a long time. It's just like I hate award shows. I don't really like awards themselves. I guess it's good for the movie and good for the actors and actresses and people who work on the movie, right? Yeah. You know, it does give them recognition, and I mean, and by recognition, I mean they get more money, more people see the movie, probably.
Yeah, it's like getting a Best New Music Pitchfork Award. I'm kidding, but I am 100% serious. It is the same thing.
Yeah. Is that, I saw a video going around, or not video, but like image of Kanye pissing on his Grammy.
No, that's real. I posted that too. Yeah, I posted that with like commentary on that, something that was like related to it. But yeah, it's real. I saw it and was like, "Is this real? This looks fake." And then it turned out it was.
Amazing.
I mean, it's a Grammy. Just talk about awards no one cares about.
Did you guys know that the Grammys are still televised?
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw people posting about the Grammys. I was like, no one watches the Grammys.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was kidding. I know it's televised, but like, who the fuck watches them? I
I'm
was,
not I'm not completely convinced that the Grammys are real. I think they might just be made up.
I mean, I think we have to dig into what is
We
real. Like,
we
what is the definition of that word in this context?
yeah.
A coworker of mine was told a group of people in the meeting, in our Zoom meeting, that they stayed up until like 1:30 in the morning watching the performances, and was like, "You guys should watch them." And I was like, I was so shocked. I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, why would anyone do that? And why did you do that? And it's 2021. I'm not watching the Grammys.
Hell
I
no.
don't know. I was
No.
just very perplexed by that.
Yeah, it was like I don't know what happens at the Grammys. I don't care about the Grammys.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, and there seems to be a Grammy for everything. It's sort of like the Emmys. Like now that like Andrew Cuomo has won an Emmy, like I don't. It's like
Wait, he did? For
that
what?
Yeah, yeah.
for his stupid ass press conferences.
Wow.
Yeah, because apparently there's a Emmy for press conferences.
Am I gonna get an Emmy for being on this podcast?
Probably.
Hopefully. That's
Very
what
cool.
we're looking for the
I
show.
would. You got my vote. Yeah, you got my vote.
Great.
Definitely.
So hold on, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Oh yeah.
Great acting.
Should we do like a speed through of segments for it or?
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah. Okay. I guess we want to give a synopsis of it first, which is Judas and the Black Messiah follows the FBI informant who helped facilitate the murder by the FBI and the Chicago police of Fred Hampton, Chairman Fred Hampton, a chairman of the Black Panther Party. Revolutionary figure. He was only, I believe, 21 at the
Yeah, he was
time, but like
21, yeah.
had the soul of a 1,000-year-old wise man. Um, I'm getting chills thinking about like him. Like he's just a powerful person, who will always live with us. But anyway, this film, I watched it like 4 weeks ago, and I try not to think about it too much. But the film follows the FBI informant because, of course, the filmmaker and the production company that gave him money to make the film are more interested in sensationalizing the situation and following the story of the fucking informant who, yeah. Anyway, it follows him, and he gets close to Fred Hampton, and like all undercover stories go, the guy starts to have like a bit of an identity crisis between himself and the job he was hired to do. And long story short, he does the job because he wanted to preserve himself over black people. The reason this guy gets pulled into being an FBI informant is because he was actually posing as a police in the film anyway. Was posing as a police officer. He was caught posing as a police officer to rob some guys of their car, and he gets pulled over, and instead of going to jail for, I believe it was around potentially about 7 years, um, he agrees to a deal to infiltrate the Black Panthers. Yeah, this movie was incredibly brutal to watch. You know, like I did not enjoy it. I thought the acting was solid for the most part. And again, I said that there's you could see weak links in Lakeith Steinfeld's performance at times, but overall the performances are great. It was shot well, but politically it is a mess. I think the film, like the film's existence is like super ironic to me. Like it's supposed to be radical. I do appreciate that it is unapologetically anti-cop. Like no cop in this movie is a good guy, and that includes the FBI, who are also cops. So I do appreciate that, but at the end of the day, it's just, you know, it's just a film that's going to make a lot of money and go to the pockets of people that aren't really out here trying to dismantle any systems, white supremacy, the systemic killing of black people and other people of color through the police. Like it's none of the money, like not enough of the money from this film is going towards that effort. It really is just taking the situation and sensationalizing it and not doing much else. I mean, you could argue that it's educating some people, but that's not how this works. You know, some people are like, if you don't like, I imagine that some people are going to learn who Fred Hampton is from this movie, and like that's where it's going to end. I don't know how deeply this will motivate those or viewers, audiences to actually learn about the politics of Fred Hampton and like which aren't even accurately depicted in this film. It's like it feels like a really watered down version of him and his socialist ideas and like he was a Marxist, like that never comes up at all. And
Yeah.
it's just it's like it feels like, and this goes for Trial of the Chicago 7.
Mhm.
Trial of Chicago 7, which I think,
7, yeah. It
I-
feels the same, and it's like it like the people that made it and the people that see it get to pat themselves on the back and be like, I know this thing now, but it's like, no, you don't. You know the literal Hollywood version of this story, and that is that. You know?
yeah. I felt like for this, I felt like the rewriting of history was a little less egregious in this than it was in the Trial of the Chicago 7, which is like
Yeah.
if you know anything about that, and that's like we'll get into that in a moment with like Aaron Sorkin's worldview, which is really what that fucking movie
Yeah.
is really about.
I do want to wrap up this last thing. Is I do want to say that I did give this film 3 out of 5 stars
Mhm.
because ultimately I am in alignment with its politics, and films with these politics or this politic should exist and should be in the world. So even though I have disdain for it, I am aligned. I am in alignment with it.
Yeah. Well, they hinted at it a little bit with Fred Hampton. I think like more so than Trial of the Chicago 7 did, but like they
100%, yeah.
like they would always start to touch on it, you know, of him starting the Rainbow Coalition with the Young Lords and the Young Patriots, and it was like, oh, that would be so cool. Why don't we just? Oh no, that moment's over. And then like moments of him doing like the education programs in Chicago, and it was like, oh, that's really cool. What are these education? Oh, no, that's over. And there's something I wanted to ask you about because I talking to Dan about this the other day. For like, I know this is true for me growing up. Like, it wasn't until I started like looking into it on my own. But if your only knowledge of the Black Panthers is what you see in Hollywood films, then to you it's like, well, they wear black leather jackets and berets and have shotguns, and that's about it. And I thought that this movie did kind of lean heavily, like, because like the militia arm thing was part of the Black Panther
Yeah.
party, of course, but it wasn't like the entire identity of it. And they seem
Right.
to like that's like always what's focused on is like pro Second Amendment. Like again, I think I felt like this was a little less egregious than some depictions I've seen, but I just feel like that's always the story I get from movies that portray the Black Panthers, and it's just like,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that goes into like why I give this film 3 stars, even though I like have like a lot of qualms with it. Yeah, I mean, usually, I mean, even from some of my childhood before I learned better, uh, Black Panthers were, and I knew this, I never believed it. I knew it was bullshit, but I was able to see that like Black Panthers were pretty much just depicted as like through like aesthetic. Like it was like, oh, these are people that like look, they were like dressed well, you know.
yeah.
There was that storyline, and then there was these were scary black people. Like it was like I was like, this is bullshit, and you know, checked in with um, my mom and other family members, and at a very early age, learned otherwise.
Yeah, well, that's something that someone else I heard someone else bring up this point about like when the Black Panthers show up to the courtroom in Trial of the Chicago 7, and they're all in the Panther uniform, and it's
Yeah.
like, you know, they didn't dress like that all the time, right? Like it
Right.
wasn't like it wasn't like they weren't always dressed like they were for a photo op. They wore no, like, you know, normal clothing, but it's like that's the only depiction you get. And I did think that this film fell into that a little bit. Overall, I would say I probably gave it a 3 star too, just because I thought Daniel Kaluuya's performance really carried it, and I thought it was generally well shot. But and then there's
Anything?
also, we were talking about this before you got on too. There's this weird obsession with movies like this of that like it always needs to be like the undercover cops
Right.
perspective. Like I was thinking of American Gangster, they do the same
Right.
thing. It's like you have a movie about Frank Lucas. Why the fuck do we have this side story or most of the story be about Russell Crowe?
I read that the director for Judas and the Black Messiah saw this as a way to like Trojan horse um, the politics of the Black Panthers into the Hollywood system. It was like make it about this story of a guy infiltrating them, yada yada. But like, I mean, that's true, but there's like negatives to that as well, you know.
Yeah.
And
I think it just kind of got lost. I guess it got lost in the ether for me.
yeah,
And
that's
I was
negative,
looking for it as the thing.
Is that what
Yeah.
you mean, Vernon? Like it just got lost in the ether, like the Trojan horse. Like, well,
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it got lost because I think because for him, like the Trojan horse is like getting the money to make this movie through this like story, this like side story, not really side story, but just like putting the lens more so on the perspective of the guy who is the FBI agent. Like I think technically the Trojan horse worked, you know, because the movie was made. But I think the weaknesses of that, this is a perfect example of like trying to change the system from the inside, which is something I do not believe in. And I think you lose a lot when you try to change the system from the inside. And like, this is a way of working the system from the inside that like I don't know how beneficial it is. I feel that it isn't very beneficial at all.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But I do still side with it because it is unapologetically anti-cop.
I liked that bit too, which was a surprise to me. I didn't all of a sudden I didn't know that the Chicago Police Department isn't on the up and up. Apparently, I was like, wait, there's some bad apples here.
Right? Yeah, it's a fucking entire batch of bad apples.
No, yeah, I did like that like all the cops were like not like unambiguously horrible, evil racists, and I like that it was unambiguous that like the FBI that it was a hit, like that it was an assassination.
Right.
I did like that.
Right. Same. I was kind of watching the whole film waiting for the good cop to show up, and I was very happy to see that never happened.
Yeah, which we get plenty of that in the Sorkin's Trial of the Chicago 7, which I suppose we could move on to in a moment if
Ben and Dan, I do want to read you both my Letterboxd review for the Trial of Chicago 7, and I want you to guess my rating.
Okay, all right.
Give me 1 second. Oh, here it is. I wrote this on January 30th, the year 2021. Kids bop radicalism for white liberals.
Wait, this is the Trial of Chicago 7, or this is Judas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna say you gave it 3 again. 3 stars.
Okay.
I'm gonna go unexpected and say 5 stars. You loved it.
Wow.
No, I'm gonna say 2 stars.
Okay. Dan, you are correct. I gave it 3 for pretty much the same reasons. It's like, yeah, this movie's corny as hell, and I don't really fuck with Aaron Sorkin, but I mean, again, I do fuck with the politics. I'm pretty nice when if something is in like political alignment with me, mostly, then I'll give it a 3. Kind of like that that doc, The Social Dilemma, which is like has some really cheesy moments, but I'm like, at the end of the day, they got people that like created the algorithms that are ruining our lives to sit down and be like, oops, I made a mistake. You know, I'm like, that's insane. Like, I gotta give you at least 3 stars for that.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I have to disagree. I think I have the same rating for a different reason. I think I would give Trial of Chicago 7 a 3-star. In that, like, as a watchable movie, I thought it was pretty entertaining. I thought the performances were quite good.
Yeah.
I think Aaron Sorkin's style is less egregious in movie form than it is in television form.
Yeah.
Like, I find him more insufferable for TV. But I think like I can't, and I think it's a good movie if you have no knowledge of the history of the Trial of Chicago 7. Like, if you have no idea what that was, then it's a fine movie. But if you know what it was, then the movie was, I found, insufferable in so many ways, because it's just like he got like everything about it wrong. It was like everything about it was incorrect. So I have to balance those two things.
So, but are you, despite its many, many countless flaws, are you in political alignment with the film?
Well, no, I'm in political alignment with the subjects, like the actual Chicago 7.
For sure, yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm in, because I guess we can get into this, but I don't think I'm in, because I think it like, this is a Trojan horse, but it's an Aaron Sorkin Trojan horse of inserting neoliberal politics onto a story of progressive politics. And
That's a good point.
yeah, so I think it's just like, because basically it's framed around that there's two kinds of like the left. There's the Abby Hoffman, and then there's the Tom Hayden, right? And the portrayals of both of them is like kind of inaccurate. They're making Tom Hayden like the upstanding, electoral politics, blah 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 blah, and Abby Hoffman is the more radical kind of, who also seems to believe in electoral politics.
Yeah.
Which we can get to this later, but like. And then, like, of course, culminating in the end, which I found to be the most egregious moment of the whole film, which was we can get to that in a bit, but like with the reading off the names of the troops, and where it all comes around to, like, it's like Aaron Sorkin doesn't have a problem with imperialism, and he doesn't have a problem with war. He has a problem with American, like, that's what he thought this story was about, was that American troops were dying. When in reality, for the real trial of Chicago 7, they actually draped an American flag and a Viet Cong flag over their tables and read off the names of both Viet Cong and American dead.
That's what happened in the courtroom in real life?
Yeah, that's what actually happened.
I actually did not know that. That is a incredibly interesting thing to leave out. That is, like, to say the least. That is. I am updating my my letterbox.
Yeah, well, because Aaron Sorkin can't wrap his mind around how you would be in support of these fallen too, and like, yeah. So I just think I find the way, and also like there's so much about the real trial of Chicago 7 was a comedy. Like, they were wild men totally mocking the proceedings because it was an absolute kangaroo court. They knew it was going to not go their way, so they were like, well, let's just like show this trial for, the circus that it actually is. And Aaron Sorkin's not funny, so he didn't know how to do that.
Yeah. My rating is now 2 stars.
You know what, you're right.
It's funny that my rating is now lower than your rating.
One thing that I wanted to bring up about Chicago 7, I wonder if you guys felt the same way with Judas and the Black Messiah. Both of these came out before the election, right?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Both of these movies came out before the election, right?
I don't think Judas and the Black Messiah did.
Judas is more recent, I thought. Trial of the Chicago 7 did come out right before the election, and that was another thing that I found nauseating about it, was they really tried to make it like into this, like, what was happening then is exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah, I just can't stand that stuff. And I think like say
Judas and the Black Messiah says 2021, yeah.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, then for Chicago 7, like I think it loses some of its impact by trying to, I mean, obviously at the time, like right before the election, it did have a big impact, I guess, if like you want to draw the parallel, but I think after the fact, it loses that impact. So I was just wondering if you guys felt the same way.
Well, yeah, and it wasn't correct. Like, I don't think, because that was like part of the psychosis, right, of art and satire, and everything needed to be connected to Trump, especially right before the election. Everything needed to be related to Trump, and like the trial of the Chicago 7 was not like, that's not like an easy, it's not the same thing. It was a very different situation, and these are people protesting war. Like, that's what it was. It was like, that's what these people were there to protest, was the Vietnam War and American imperialism. And trying to make it into like, this protesting is the same as protesting Trump. It's not the same fucking thing. So yeah, I don't think it'll age well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it ever even landed well. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it came out of the gate kind of rotten in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it's already not aging well.
Yeah.
Good. No.
Dan, what's your rating?
Oh wait, you saw it, Dan?
Yeah, did you actually, since you actually watched this one?
Yeah. And it's out of 5, right? Okay.
You do half ratings too.
Thing is pretty fucked up because it's intentionally leaving out that aspect. And again, I don't really like drawing the parallels between Trump and protesting the Vietnam War. I do like a good courtroom drama, we'll admit.
Yeah. And Sorkin's particular style, I guess, lends itself best to courtroom drama.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Like, he's a dialogue.
International cornball Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
Esquire.
And cokehead. Apparently he's a cokehead.
Oh, of course. How do you think he writes that fast dialogue?
And
Just his whole life is walk and talks.
his I think I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt as an actor. I think I didn't think he
Who?
was good in this movie. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Haven't heard of him. Next.
Next.
No, just kidding. No, I know who he is.
Ooh,
I
cancer.
loved him in Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah, me too. Right, and I mean he's had some good roles. I think.
Wait, so
This is
answer the
the mo-
question. What's your rating?
No, okay. I'm
This
just
movie,
parsing
you
it
thought
out.
he was
Right?
good in this movie?
No, I don't think he was good in this movie.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But I
cool.
mean, I don't know. I don't really know the historical character he's playing, but I didn't think he was that compelling in this movie. Yeah, two stars for me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go down to 2 as well.
Wow, look at me, a trendsetter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
your minds.
the character he played, Richard Schultz, was a total piece of shit and way more antagonistic and awful than.
I honestly assumed that was the case.
Well,
Stuff
yeah,
like-
this is the thing of why this movie sucks so much, or like why it's so fucking inaccurate, and why I hate Aaron Sorkin is like Aaron Sorkin's whole like idea on politics is like it's just an exchange of ideas, and we all want the best for the country, and like it's sort of this like meritocracy of whoever like has the most compelling argument or whatever.
Yeah.
Like with this West Wing newsroom bullshit where it's like everyone's well intentioned. It's like, no, some people are like Richard Schultz was a piece of shit. Like this was an arm of this was like the Nixon administration trying to flex his stick, and these are all bad people.
It's true.
Doing horrible things.
I need to ask y'all, how are you feeling about the Social Network these days?
I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time.
Better
But that's
question. How did you feel about it then, and how are you feeling about it now?
I liked it. I mean, I think of all the Sorkin things, that's the one I liked the most.
Yeah, I didn't like it when it came out, and I liked
You
it.
did not?
I didn't like it when it came out. No.
I've always liked it. I think it's a good movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I watched it recently, and I liked it.
Yeah. I loved it when it came out and watched it a ton of times and thought it was great. And as I get older, I'm just like, no. Like I there's just so many things wrong with it that I was just like not privy to as like, I don't know, however old I was in 2010 when it came out. And also like to see that film next to everything we know about Mark Zuckerberg now and his involvement in like politics,
Yeah.
and privacy infringements, and like I'm just like, wow, like it's weird. It's hard to watch that movie without that context these days. But even if you can, it's still a incredibly flawed and misogynistic film.
Yeah, well, he can. Well, I mean, Sorkin is always misogynistic.
I was just gonna say, do you think that's more Sorkin or Fincher, or both?
I would say it's primarily Sorkin, honestly. But
Yeah.
Did you see Mank, Vernon?
I did, yeah.
What'd you think?
I enjoyed it. I liked it. Oddly, it's like, but it's one of those films that I enjoy. But like, if anyone tells me they don't like it, instead of like trying to like get to the bottom of why they don't like it, I'll just be like, okay, like I'm not like standing for Mank, but like especially because I'm like, you literally like if you you need to have seen Citizen Kane, and 2, you need to like know some of the backstory of what happened in making Citizen Kane to like fully even understand what's happening in that movie, I think, or like to get like the emotional context or the historical context, I should say. And so the fact that the movie requires you to like have done homework before you watch it is silly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I enjoyed it, like I still liked it because I knew those things, so yeah.
Yeah, style over substance, but I thought even the story itself, like it ties together well. I really like the idea of like filming in this classic Hollywood style. I thought that was well executed as well.
I have like a soft spot for Citizen Kane because, and I think Dan, you might have been one of the people I did this to, but like I had never heard of it when I went to fucking film school and college. I had never heard of Citizen Kane. And they like played it in class, and I watched it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I just kind of went around, was like asking people if they'd seen or heard of Citizen Kane for like a week, and then slowly realized. And then me, just fucking 18, 19 years old, slowly realizing that like Citizen Kane is like the American film and like everyone loves it. And I was not like some guy who like just discovered Citizen.
It was like It was like when I was 13 and I found out who Jimi Hendrix was, and I was
Oh my
like,
God, that's
I was
really
like,
funny.
this Jimi Hendrix guy, he's great. You ever heard of him?
Have you heard of Jimi Hendrix? Yeah.
It reminds me. Brendan,
But I love. Wait, go ahead, Dan.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
I was just saying. No, I was just saying that we were talking about this right before you got on, but like how Citizen Kane used to be known as like the best movie ever made, best American
Right.
movie ever made, which I don't think anybody would ever say anymore, but it is a pretty
Right.
monumental film. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like a monumental film, as you said. Like it is a film that is, I would say, still deserving of its credit, of its reputation, its hype. But I would definitely not say that it is the best film ever made. I wouldn't say that about anything.
Yeah, it's so subjective. Um,
It's a very American film, though. I'd say that. It's
yeah,
like a
absolutely.
rich guy doing his rich guy shit. Fuck Citizen Kane.
Yeah, cancel Citizen Kane.
He's canceled.
You heard it here first.
Or we should, or we can reimagine it, but written by Aaron Sorkin.
Let's do it.
yeah. Okay.
Wait, so do we want to get back to Chicago 7 for a minute,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to do like quick fire, favorite scene, favorite sequence.
Yeah.
I could start.
Yeah,
Please.
I absolutely love the medley of cops who are undercover infiltrating the movement. You know, when they're like, because they're showing, like, it's showing the cops like meeting the Chicago 7 like during the protests, and then it's them testifying as like cops. And I absolutely love this because we can always recognize like there's a cop look, you know, kind of a cop haircut and a cop body type. But I think for anybody who's lived in Chicago specifically, Chicago, like Polish Chicago cops are a very specific type of guy. And just the idea that these guys were infiltrating this like hippie youth movement, I thought was just absolutely hilarious. It's like, hey dear, I got ludes, I got ganja. How you
Ganja?
yeah. It's like yeah, this guy, like, it's like, this is my friend, like, it's like, yeah, this seems on the up and up. I believe this.
Oh my God, I love that.
Wait, so we're doing favorite scenes, favorite sequence?
Favorite scene, favorite sequence. That's what I.
Yeah.
I thought for favorite sequence, I really like the leading up to the march. I thought was kind of well done. You know, they're kind of like marching around Chicago, and it's just kind of leading them in all these different directions, and you kind of get this like mob mentality that is just like slowly growing. And it has that like almost like Rashomon feel where it's like you don't really know who's telling the truth here or what interpretation of events you're actually seeing being rendered. So I thought that was fun. And then favorite scene, come back to me on that one.
I think my favorite stretch of the movie is like there's a scene near the end of the movie where the screen is like mostly black. And then there's like these letters, like these white letters, like going up the screen that show people's like names and titles. And I really like that part of the movie.
Yeah.
It happens at the end. My favorite scene is the scene when the fucking judge can't pronounce the person's name right, and then like, and then everyone's just like, it's when you realize that like, oh, this judge is an idiot. And
he was fucking senile, like he was,
right,
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess he was senile. Yeah, he was senile and also just completely unreasonable. And I think like the realization from both sides of like, oh shit, this is gonna be a situation. But just the chaos of everyone trying to navigate this guy's completely nebulous brain was interesting. But more so, I really like that part at the end with the black screen and the names and the titles.
I forgot that actor who played the judge, but my favorite actor.
Frank Langella.
Yeah, Frank Langella. Yeah,
That's your favorite actor?
No, in the movie.
Oh, okay. It's like, you don't,
did the best in my opinion.
I'm like double shocked. Like, you don't know his name, and that's your favorite actor.
He's my favorite actor. I love him. I can't remember his name. Yeah, I thought he was great. I mean, I thought overall all the performances were good. I thought Sacha Baron Cohen was really good as Abby Hoffman.
Yeah.
Jeremy Strong is the other guy. Like,
which one's Jeremy Strong?
Yeah, which
Jeremy
one?
Strong, he was the other Yippee, the guy.
Oh, the guy from
Jerry
Succession.
Rubin. Jerry Rubin, yeah, the
Yeah.
guy from Succession. He's a fantastic actor. I did not really understand his like hippie, like whoa man,
That was
kind of
Jeremy
thing.
Strong. Wow.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I thought everybody was pretty good. What was I gonna say? That I'm not going anywhere with that. Guess we have, yeah. So we already had our fun fact, or that was yeah. I could.
That was a
That's
really
my.
good fact. Yeah,
That's a
it
fact.
changed all of our star rating. It completely reworked the what I thought
Yeah,
were the
I think.
politics of this movie.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about like going back to how we were talking about Judas though, of how they really just like softened like the politics of this. Like one thing that really stood out to me was like when they knew two jurors were leaning towards them, and then like the next day those jurors like mysteriously get threatening letters from the Black Panthers, which I believe did happen. Obviously, it wasn't the Black
They were
Panther Party
fake
sending it;
letters. Yeah.
it was the fucking FBI, and
Right.
they like half allude to it, but it was like just fucking say it. The FBI fucking bugged them. Like they were. They were infiltrating the whole thing. This is the thing, like with Sorkin, that makes me so mad. Is like he could not let the bad guys be the bad guys, whereas like at least Judas just made them horrible.
Right.
Whereas like Sorkin has to have like Richard Schultz and all these people are just doing their job, and like
Oh man, Ben, you're doing it again. I might lose another star. I might lose another star.
like okay, just
It's
to
like
drive it home then, like the honey the girl who's the FBI agent Honeypot, who like
yeah,
yeah, Honeypot for Jeremy Strong, like she's like an agent provocateur who's always trying to get them to not riot.
Yeah.
And she's like, guys, we shouldn't, this is getting dangerous. It was like, you're the worst. You're terrible at your job.
I mean, honestly, this conversation I usually do, but I should have done my research and found out all of the. I actually have looked it up during this call, but like just checked out all the inaccuracies of this film, to truly learn the politics of the film itself and the person that made it. But realizing that this is just this is like, oh, I guess I already knew it's propaganda, but it's like propaganda to like a more insidious degree than I was like actually privy to.
Yeah.
Which yeah, I'm gonna reckon with that and probably give this like a half star or a star and a half. I don't know. Like, but this is like the worst type of propaganda, the sneaky kind,
Yeah, it's very sneaky neoliberal, and I think like the best example of it probably is when in a very good scene, at least well acted, is when Abby Hoffman takes the stand. Sacha Baron Cohen's up there, and he's getting cross-examined, and he was like, do you believe in or like, do you believe in a nonviolent revolution is possible? And he goes, yes, we do it every 4 years. And it was like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, really? Yeah, a presidential election is a fucking nonviolent revolution? Get the fuck out of here.
That's really funny. And by funny, I mean sad.
Yeah. Oh, and then one last thing I did want to point out that was also a very egregious historical inaccuracy was that Bobby Seale was bound and gagged,
Right,
like shackled to
I did check that to make sure that happened.
Yeah, but that happened. But in the movie, he's like that for like all of what, like 30 seconds, and then Richard Schultz is like, we can't do this. This looks bad, blah blah blah, because he's such a good guy. Bobby Seale was shackled in courtroom and gagged for 3 days.
That's movie magic, right?
Yeah, it's just like it's so fucking nauseating. All right, I want to hear fuck, marry, kill.
Okay, I'm going to fuck that moment at the end of the movie where the screen is black and no, fuck. Okay, fuck. What am I gonna fuck? This is hard. I'm going to.
It's your rules.
Yeah, but we would have never picked this movie. It doesn't qualify. I'm going to fuck the acting from Sacha Baron Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to marry the acting from the judge. And I'm going to kill this film's accurate existence as neoliberal propaganda.
Yeah. Okay. Dan?
Okay. Um,
Also, want to kill all of the inaccuracies in this film.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but I tried to encompass it all, and yeah.
Um, I would say I'd like to fuck the defense lawyer. What's his name?
Oh, Mark Rylance.
Yeah.
Mark Rylance. I thought he did well.
He's great. National treasure.
Yeah. I agree with Vernon. I want to marry Frank Langella's acting this, and then kill.
Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah. That's good. For our FBI agents listening, it's a game. It's not real.
I want to tell you guys about a tweet I sent out. It got 3 likes. The tweet is just Aaron Sorkin is a cornball. And that's it. Get out there. You see it, like it. Like and subscribe.
Retweet it.
Yep.
Retweet.
We'll get you the VFAS bump. So
yeah. Thanks.
And then Ben, what's yours?
Yeah, I think similar. I will say, because Vernon, you were fucking Sacha Baron Cohen, right?
His acting, yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want to do that too. Can I copy? Can I double?
Yeah. It's all
double up? Okay, yeah. So I'll fuck Sacha Baron Cohen's performance.
Wow, you're really gonna copy me?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Okay.
You said it was okay, and now you're making me feel like it's not okay.
No, it's cool. I'm just fucking with you.
I'm going to marry the scene with the cops who who somehow pretended to be student activists. Fuck Sacha Baron Cohen's performance. Marry the Polish cop medley, not because it's good, because it's funny.
They're fucking middle-aged cops trying to infiltrate.
Yeah.
Freshman undergrads. Like, what?
yeah, and they're all like overweight and then kill whatever Aaron Sorkin's next project is.
Mank 2.
Mank 2.
Yeah, Mank 2, Electric
Boogaloo. Mank again.
Yeah. And then this is one. Well, this last one I really did want to. I was excited for this movie in particular. How white is this movie?
Huh. This movie is so white that it is equivalent to a white person in 2016, the day after Donald Trump being elected, turns to a black person and says, we really just need to talk to the other side and meet them with love and kindness and hug them.
Mr. NBC?
No, this is Mrs. NBC this time.
Mrs. NBC at brunch.
I think this movie has that energy. It was like we just gotta hug Nazis and like let them know like love and kindness is the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And you I think we can guess what my response is to that.
Yeah.
Same energy.
Dan, you got one?
I really like this idea of like restating it. It's like, how white is this movie? This movie is so white. And it's just like The Crowd or something like that.
This movie is so white.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, since it ignores so much historical context, like, with the Bobby Seale stuff, and then also the Viet Cong soldiers, I think that speaks for itself, really.
Mm-hmm. I think it's hard to understate how white this film is, or really just like the entire work of Aaron Sorkin.
Can you restate the question?
How white is this movie?
The frame? Yeah. How white is this movie? Yeah.
Okay. How white is the trial of the Chicago 7? It is.
This movie is so.
This movie. this
Ben is so white that
this movie is so white. It is like attending a city council zoning committee meeting in West St. Paul, Minnesota, for a property you don't own.
Wow. I feel like this movie is so white that when it checks his race on the census form, it just checks alabaster.
This movie is ivory white. This is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
It's like fucking remember the mask, the teeth of the mask?
Ooh,
That's how white this movie is.
That's white.
Yeah. This is
Shit is blinding.
yeah. This is Gandalf becoming Gandalf ascending to the top wizard form.
When we do this on Overanalyze This, the thing I appreciate most in this category is like whenever someone, it's usually a guest, whenever someone comes on is like, this movie's so white, and then they name something that I just do not understand, and I'm just like, oh, as the black person on this podcast, this person has won this category because I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That is the whitest shit I've ever heard because I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Well, we have an unfair advantage.
It's true. You guys know your culture.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what's up with LaCroix? Like, what's happening?
I'm not a LaCroix fan.
That's beyond me. That is LaCroix is this.
It is
Chicago
very
7
white.
is LaCroix white.
Well, I didn't realize I was on a podcast with a bunch of race traders, but okay.
Yeah.
Not an endorsement of LaCroix. LaCroix is nasty. So
Yeah,
It really is nasty. There's such better seltzer if you're gonna have one.
Yeah, LaCroix sucks.
Yeah, Canada Dry. I mean, the basics is okay.
I mean, that's ginger ale, Canada Dry. That's great. That's a real drink.
I don't understand LaCroix and I don't understand White Claw.
Yeah,
which is just alcoholic LaCroix.
Yeah,
I don't understand it either. It's yeah, I don't know. The drink for cornballs, I guess.
Yeah, Sorkin loves it. Sorkin approved.
Does this mean that you guys aren't going to watch this Sorkin masterclass?
I've asked for a refund.
Yeah, I actually watched it to prepare for this. That's how we wrote the format for the podcast. Actually,
oh boy, that's wild.
I hesitate to end, but we are over 2 hours plus, and I don't know how much we're gonna be able to cut. So I'm really happy with it so far. If you guys are down to wrap it up.
I love that you think we're over 2 hours plus when we're like 4 minutes away from 3 hours. Well, we started at 10:10 actually, but yeah, 14 minutes away. Yeah. Huge understatement.
Huge.
Okay, well, I think our last thing, I didn't run this by Dan, but I think we should pitch our ideas for another crossover episode where you bring us on Oat.
Okay, and it'll be a 5-hour episode because there will be 5 of us. But yeah,
a lot of meandering.
Let's hear it. Pitch it. Or were you kidding?
I can think of one. I have one. Because it needs to sort of fit our aesthetic, right? With what we like to talk about. So I would like to have one because we like conspiracy stuff, we like CIA stuff, and I would like to propose Once Upon a Time in Mexico, starring Antonio Banderas and Johnny Depp.
Wow, that's not bad. That'll be something.
Yeah. Another movie that I think is like 3 hours long.
Oh my god.
It's like 2.5 of them are gunfights.
That CJ is gonna fucking hate you for that. I might too actually, but I know she will. Yeah.
Dan, you got one?
I really like the idea of us doing conspiracy theory, that Mel Gibson movie. Or Arlington.
You don't want to do Murder at 1600 instead?
Sure. I'm really down just to watch an old movie. I was thinking like, not one that like, this is not related to Villain for All Seasons, but like Airheads, I think I've seen like a million times. Half Baked would be a good one.
I just watched Serpico recently and was surprised to find out how anti-cop that is. And also that it was based on real events, which is like, I was like, oh, I didn't realize I was like accidentally doing homework for this podcast. But we didn't even talk about Serpico.
The only scene I've
seen Serpico?
Part 2. I don't think I ever actually have seen Serpico.
Honestly, I think Serpico, like what I was saying earlier, is a movie that like deserves to be like, honestly, Serpico could be like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
For the exact reasons I said.
There's a great scene in Serpico when he walks in that like Hasidic Jewish outfit.
Yes, and there's like no backstory to that. It's just him undercover.
Yeah. He's just like slams his badge down on the desk or something, and that's it. Yeah, it's a pretty complex movie.
It is, and it spans fucking 12 years.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, very surprised it took me that long to see it, and like it doesn't get talked about more. Like it's very anti-cop.
Yeah, he does a great performance in it as well.
He does, but his voice is insufferable.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
So squeaky. Are we still? We're still recording?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, that's all I have.
What's that?
That's all I have.
Yeah, same for me.
I think that was a good. I think that was a good run.
Yeah, I think we had a lot. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Vernon, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Well, yeah, I mean, go see Serpico, another anti-cop film. That should be 3 hours, I think. Honestly, it should
feel more like anti-cop material, the better, I think.
Just in general, yeah, for sure. Yeah. There is a scene in Serpico that I don't fuck with at all. You'll know when you see it. But overall, it's like just I'm promoting this old ass film because of its anti-cop politics, and we need more of that. Because there's just so much propaganda out there. Like we recently watched Speed on Overanalyze This, and like I realized like how much that movie like affected me and like helped shaped my personality in some ways, which is ridiculous to say. And Speed is still great, but it is quite clearly propaganda. Like, yeah.
In what way?
In what way the propaganda? I mean, the whole movie is about this selfless, altruistic cop who is constantly putting himself in harm's way to save innocent people. It just like in every way, it's like the cops are the good guys in this movie. Granted, there is a reveal that the villain is a disgruntled cop, a disgruntled ex-cop, but overall, like the cops are the fucking heroes in every scene.
Yeah, they always go evil after they leave the force. That's that's an important. Yeah,
right.
Only one.
And like, and the main cop played by Keanu Reeves is like honestly depicted as the ideal hero. He is so selfless,
sexy too.
He is sexy, sexy man. So yeah, there it is. You know, that is like the pinnacle of anti-cop, I think. And I hate the fact that it's nostalgic for me. I still love that movie.
On that note, Vernon, it was really nice to talk to you, man. I think this is a great conversation, and
yeah, it was great talking to you guys. Thanks for having me, man. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Let's I think we should do it again. We should do follow-ups for either the next Sorkin project or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And I'd love to have you guys on as well. Also, if I said anything that did not sound great to the audience, just reach out. I'll clarify. I'll clarify what I meant. I'm sure I said something I didn't mean to say in a certain way.
Email anybody who has a problem. Email Dan. Okay, Dan.